right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Shifter Show, brought to you by Elite Mototech. We've been talking about them for, it seems like years now. Absolutely, hands down, the best levers in the game. Elite Mototech's easy pull levers, 30% easier pull. Use code SHIFTERCREW at checkout. Also super excited to announce our partnership with Law Tigers. If you or someone you know has been injured or hurt in a motorcycle accident, call 1-800-LAW Tigers. What's up, dude?
Hey. Just waiting for you to be done.
Now here we go. We're going to fuck with it all, right?
No, I'm going to fuck with it now. And then
Okay. All right. Are we happy? It's on camera now, so there's a little bit more pressure this time.
Happy?
I know.
I don't
Define
like it.
happy.
I don't like it. Awesome. Hi.
What's up?
How are you?
Long time no see.
I know. It's been at least 2 days.
Yeah.
At
So
least.
Jess found out that we have video now and decided, hey, I need to go ahead and get back on here.
No.
No, I'm kidding.
I was like, can we... when we were planning this, you're like, I have to coordinate with the video guys. I was like, we could just also not do that part and not
Let's do it.
be filmed.
We knew like after the last one. No, and once you go to video, we're not going back now. Like this is the future.
Great.
It's not going anywhere. I get to look at the camera. I'm getting more comfortable on camera. So now it's like more of a thing where I can fuck with people and they come on. Yeah, well, not
it's
anymore.
my job behind the camera.
Not anymore. That one right there is pointing right at you.
It is, yeah.
It's not live though, so you're good.
Great.
You'd be fine.
The 2-lane life one was live streamed.
You did 2-lane live?
Yeah.
How was that?
It's fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They do live stream.
Do.
They do.
Good
They do live. I
They
went
do,
up there
yeah.
with Amber when she did it from the hideout.
Yeah.
And I was like sitting off on the side, like, holy shit, like taking notes. Like,
It's
this
like a
studio's
situation.
legit.
Yeah, the lighting.
It's like a newsroom.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Makes sense.
It was so well lit. I was like, which side are we seeing me on? And they're like, this side. I was like, all right, I'll open the camera on this side.
Oh my God.
That's my job.
That is.
Yeah, so I did 2-lane life. I don't know what month that was. It was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I've known Big Lance for a long time, just through the scene and all that. And Galen's always with them. So
Yeah.
it was a good time.
They're around like everywhere. I see them all over the place now. They were at
Yeah.
Josie's a couple weeks ago, stayed up in the cabins. I would see them at Born Free.
They're literally everywhere. Yeah.
I think I see them at Live Fast every once in a while. Like,
Yeah. It's funny because they're so famous. I feel bad like saying hi because I'm like everyone's trying to talk to them at once, and you're like, oh hey, bye.
Are they famous?
People literally stop them and take pictures of them.
That's pretty wild.
Of them.
I remember watching their videos way back in the day. Like, I want to say 2019 time frame.
Was it 2-lane life or Thrashing?
No, it was 2-lane life.
Yeah.
I want to say it was like 2019. I started seeing them, and it was like they were riding around like Cambria or somewhere, and like it might have been 2020-ish, but yeah, it'd been a while.
Yeah, they're good people.
Yeah, that's rad.
They're rad. I think I talked about them a little bit in the last podcast when I went to Sturgis, and Trevor's bike broke, and they helped us get the bike.
Yeah, dude, have you seen Trevor's new bike?
Yeah.
When I say new, I mean.
Yeah, I saw it at
edition.
the Moto Beach Classic this week.
Oh, yeah, I was trying to go to that, but it was like way too much to figure out. Gabe and I flew out to Utah. We did the Tucker Speed podcast, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And we left at like 2 p.m. Friday from here, and then got back at like 2 p.m. Saturday.
Yeah.
And I had the bike like at the dealer, and I literally was like walking out to the bike, and I was like, do I want to go to Moto Beach? And then I was like, man, I could just go home. Like, and sometimes, like,
I get it.
I do enough motorcycle shit. Like, every once in a while, I just want to
Well,
go home.
you have a family.
Yeah, that's something that people forget.
Yeah.
Little kids.
Stuff to do other than this.
And they're not slowing down at all. So
Nope. Yeah, so Moto Beach was good. It was cool.
Was it?
I rode in a car there. That was weird.
Why?
It was a rough financial week, freelance life. And I was like, I have gas in my tank to go to work tomorrow, but I don't have gas in my tank to go to anywhere else. And my bike, it was the thing. So I rode in a car, and it was good. It was fun that I could drink, though. My friends had margaritas in their saddlebags.
There you
so
go.
like Joey Bago and all them.
Yeah.
They're like, just go get some. I was like, it's like an open bar, but out of Jay's saddlebag right now.
That doesn't surprise me.
And I don't really drink that much. So the first time I asked Jay, I was like, hey, can I have a drink? And he was like, yeah, you can absolutely have a drink. It's like their favorite thing when I ask for a drink.
Dude,
they're
those
like,
guys are rad. They, like their Sunday breakfast and everything with Roji and them. Like,
yeah,
they get
They're
after it
good
too.
peeps.
Yeah, them road. There's always a huge group of them too.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they travel together.
They do. Yeah, Jay and Joey and their partners, their wives and girlfriends were on a road trip when I was on my last road trip.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I figured
they went out east, didn't they?
Yeah, and we were gonna meet up, but just things didn't happen. I was always like behind them or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I figured this time. So we talked a lot about my past last time, so why don't we go backwards this time and start with the most recent trip?
Yeah, there's a lot of trips to cover. Let's do that, and we can start from.
I mean, we'll never finish it.
No.
And then I have to tell you about the find. I remembered that I found a human head on the 5 once.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hear
and
about
I'm gonna
that.
have to talk about
People
that.
People are gonna want to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. I'm telling that one later. That's a
all right.
little preview. You're welcome.
Stick around.
Yeah. So I just got back. Did we do my last podcast before this or after this? After?
Before or after what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My the 26-day trip when I was in Canada and all that. After?
I believe after. Yep.
I don't know.
You had just gotten back.
Yes. I don't know what time
just
it
gotten
is.
back.
Yeah. So I just did a 26-day trip around some of the country. Yeah, I did probably like 6,400 miles in 26 days. There was an event up in northern Washington called the Dream Roll. It's an all women's identifying event. And then I had another event starting at Devil's Tower, Wyoming from Go Fast Don't Die, their Devil's Stone run, like 10 days later. And I was like, I don't want to ride 1,500 miles north, 1,500 miles back home, unpack all the stuff because we know I'm not a light packer because I need the stuff that I'm packing, and then repack and then do LA to no. It's awful.
Just stay gone.
The stretch between Los Angeles and pretty much Salt Lake City is I've done it like 3 or 4 times this year and I'm kind of over it.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But yeah, so I took off and went to that event. Last year I went to that event. My bike was it was so hot on the ride up. My bike was making noises I've never heard before.
Did you take the 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Just avoid the 5 at all costs.
Hot as shit. Well, I stayed in Sacramento, and then I stayed in Grants Pass, Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the home of Dutch Bros.
Is it really?
Yeah, the guy remembers me too because I was there last year, and I would ride up in the morning and get my coffee. And this year I went, I was like, it's going to be crazy with this guy. There's no way.
It's the same dude.
This guy's going to remember me. He was like, hey, where's your bike? Because I had walked over that time. I was like, oh, hey.
Oh, shit.
I did not think you would remember me. That's insane. But it's actually the very first Dutch Bros ever that I go to. So it's fun. And then I make it all the way up to Northern Washington from there. So 3 days up. And then it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. Wait, Thursday, Friday. Yeah. Is that 4 days? 4 days. So it's cool. I'm not sure if it's going to keep happening. They're trying to sell the event right now.
Really?
I just think putting on those big events is a very thankless job, honestly.
Oh,
everyone's, you know how it is. Everyone's got a problem with something.
And you're not unless you're born free.
Yeah.
Not,
everyone's got a problem with something. And it's really hard. So I think the woman who did them, she just kind of, it's too much. And she did a great job. So I went to that. And then I was like, what am I going to do between in 10 days? It was quite a bit. It was like the 18th and then a week and a half, essentially. So I was like, I don't know. I called my dad because if I ever kind of get crazy ideas, I always call my dad. And I'm like, hear me out.
Do I sound as crazy as I think I do?
Yeah. He's like, yes. It's funny because I called him. I was like, hey, question, what would you do in this situation? Like, would you stay out and just figure it out? Or would you come home? He's like, well, I'm a homebody. I would come home. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's not what I wanted to hear.
I really just don't want to go home.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to unpack and repack. And it's funny. He was like, I never would have imagined you growing up riding a motorcycle around the country. He was like a little makeup girl. Like, I've always kind of liked both. Like, I've always digging in the dirt and climbing trees. I was never like super girly, but I have those tendencies. And he was like, I would have never imagined this for you. And I was like, honestly, I don't know what I would imagine for myself. Who knows? Yeah. So I went to the Dream Roll, and then I planned on going to Canada. Have you ever ridden through Canada?
I've never been to Canada.
It's really beautiful, honestly. Yeah. So I'm taking this off. We're done with that. I can't do it. We're chilling. I don't like being on camera. Hi.
Yeah, well, there's no cameras in here. You're good.
Don't lie.
You'll be all right.
Don't lie to me.
You got touching the mics again.
Yeah, but I'm doing it while I'm not talking. That's
You're
the
good.
key.
You're
That's
good.
the key. You can take it out. So yeah, and this trip, beautiful.
Yeah.
The road up to Sacramento, beautiful. And I stayed with, have you ever heard of Bunka Biker?
No.
So it's kind of like Airbnb, but other bikers all around the country, all around the world, actually. So it's this community on Facebook, and then that you can join, and then you get access to this map. And so there's pins all over the map, and there's different color coded. Like I can provide people I can provide inside housing, I can provide a lawn to camp in, I have a garage you can work on your bike, or I'm just local, I'm here for local advice. So you kind of do a color coded pin. And so I just went on my trip and figured out where I was going to stop, and I found a house in San Francisco. And you just text them, Sacramento. You just text them. You're like, hey, my name's Jessica. I'm going to be coming through this date. Do you have an opening to have me at your house that day?
Shit.
And, some people were like, I'm not available or something like that. And a lot want like your information, like your Instagram.
Yeah.
Some of them are older couples. So they're like, may I have your travel vlog? And I was like, you may. It's Instagram. There it is. And but it's a lot for me. I enjoy people a lot, but on the road sometimes I just need to just space out after I'm done. So I wasn't sure how that was going to go for me.
That's like what I want after like a long trip. I don't want to talk.
Yeah. Even though I still haven't talked to anyone all day, I want to keep it that way sometimes. Yeah. And I understand that that's not probably the healthiest, or it's kind of selfish of me, but
I get it though.
It's really hard. The last thing I want to do is like, hi, my name's Jessica. I'm a maker.
Now let me entertain you in your own house.
Working for your room, one of those. And but they were really nice. They're bikers. Both. It was a couple, an older couple, and they're both bikers. They've ridden all over the country, and they use Bunka Biker when they're on the road. So they were really cool. She cooked me dinner. They were really, really sweet. So I just stayed there that night and woke up the next morning. I stayed, and then I had another one in a little bit south of Grants Pass. And this one and you don't really get an idea of personalities because you're just texting usually or emailing. And I stayed at a gentleman's house. He lived in the most beautiful property in Oregon, the most beautiful property right south of Grants Pass. And he had some family friends over, and I guess he was as a widower. So he had this huge house and this huge property. And he was like, I actually never planned on enjoying this property by myself. So I have people over a lot, and he does adventure bike stuff. Okay. And he was really nice, and he was really cool. He was like, you know what? Everyone gets to choose their own adventure here. If you want to hang out and talk with us, you can. But if you want, you can just go in your room and chill and do whatever you need. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I did both. They had a dog there. That was fun. I'll pet the dog. Anytime there's a dog, it makes my day better usually. And yeah, it was really cool. And then he had a roommate that lived upstairs of the house. And I was just enjoying the nice Oregon weather. It was such a beautiful day. It's so green. Mm-hmm. It's so green. And there's a little weird coming creek.
From the 5, like all through California, where there's nothing in the valley. Yeah. And then you're like, oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah. It was the road to his house was like, people are like, where was it? I'm like, I'm not telling you.
I'm not even gonna let you know.
I'm not even telling you. He was incredibly nice. And I was just out enjoying the weather, just about to go to bed. And his roommate is a younger guy, comes out. He's like, hey, I'm about to make myself a bowl of ice cream. Do you want some? And I was like, obviously, I want some ice cream. Yeah. And he's like, it's peanut butter chocolate. Is that okay? I said, is it Tillamook? He was like, yes. And I was like,
that's the good stuff up there. That's like a thing up there. Yeah.
It's delicious. That's the best peanut butter chocolate ice cream. But yeah, I learned about him. Like I got to meet him. He's like a carpenter. Doesn't do any, but he was dressed kind of like a golfer. So that was weird. And I was like, I was trying to figure out what he did by his outfit. He had like loafers on, khaki cargos on, and like a polo shirt.
You're like, what do you do?
And then he was like, I'm a carpenter. And I was like,
didn't see that coming.
It was kind of dark, so I couldn't see his hands, but I could see that he had stuff on his knees. So I think he was like laying floor and stuff or something. He was doing something earlier. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. And he's a guy with like no social media, and he just lives in Oregon and is a carpenter. It was crazy. So I really, really liked Bunka Biker. I think it can be different depending on who you get to stay with.
And who you get matched up with.
Yeah, but it also is a really good community because if there's something weird, because there are solo female hosts as well, and it's mostly men traveling on motorcycles by themselves, and sometimes that doesn't always go the best. Especially if there's a few drinks involved, like, so you can be like, hey, you write the woman who founded it, and you're like, hey, this kind of happened between us. Like, you might want to be careful with, you know, so, but it's a really good checks and balances,
Okay.
you know, because she brings it to them and she's like, hey, this is what's going on. They can be like, oh my gosh. Or they can be like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I was just joking. So people, if they get weird, they kind of get kicked
There's like
out,
a warning system
essentially.
in place,
Yeah.
though. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And if hosts get bad reports, she changes their pin to a certain color and you're not supposed to click on them, but you do need to know they exist. So, I mean, I don't think it's ever dangerous. It's just kind of odd situations, you know? So, I mean, there's a lot of weird characters in motorcycling.
100%. And you're a female traveling on a motorcycle by yourself.
Yeah.
So you need to be like hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
Of what's going on.
I probably should be more vigilant. I'm semi-vigilant currently.
Somewhat.
Yeah, so I did that. And then I woke up and had my coffee at my personal Dutch Bros.
Mm-hmm.
And then rode through Portland.
Oh, that was probably enjoyable.
You know, Portland is LA traffic to Portland places. And you're like, I can't split. And then I finally see people splitting down the way, like on the shoulder, which for me, that's where all the shit is that's going to pop your tire.
Exactly.
But I was like, I'm just going to go with them, I guess. So I started splitting through Oregon. And one of the funniest things that happened in my head, I was riding and right in Portland, there's a sign that says, it's got a pig on it. It's a PETA ad. I think it was a PETA ad. I didn't get it at the time. And it said how they worded it and how they structured it on the ad. It said, stop using pigs or stop giving pigs to train doctors. And like train doctors was with it. And I was like, train doctors? Is that like a trained mechanic?
No, like to train.
Yeah, it took me way too long to figure that out.
Yep.
Because the way they worded it, I was like, they don't call trained mechanics.
Supposedly,
that's insane.
the pig anatomy is like ridiculously similar to ours.
Yeah,
so
that's why you do the little fetal pig.
Yep.
But yeah, so I laughed in my helmet for that forever. I was like, trained doctors, cool. I'm an idiot. Sometimes I'm thankful there's no one else with me because I can be like, can you believe that? What are trained doctors?
Yeah.
And they're like, Jessica, read it again. I'm like, oh,
I'm
my bad. So, yeah, that was good. This year I did not meet any white supremacists on my route. It was really good. Yeah.
That's good.
That was fun.
That's progress.
Last year, there was a couple 2 up that were talking to me. Their bike was thrashed. And as they're putting on their helmets, I realized they got swastikas on their necks. And I was like, oh.
Never mind. No, thank you.
I was like, I'm going to go. I mean, I'm probably safe here. However,
goodbye.
I'm good. Yeah. So great news. None of those. So I went to the event. It's awesome. I think I talked about it last time. Really positive. And then I went to Canada. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to go to Banff. And this was kind of a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, haha, wouldn't that be funny if? Whoops, I did it.
So you just had your passport and you're like, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, I have a passport card.
Okay.
So that's good to get you into Mexico and Canada. So I don't have to carry my actual passport because I will lose things immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Canada, I think. So at that event, I met a couple girls that were from Canada, and they're like, you need to do they were in Vancouver, and they said, you need to do Sea to Sky Highway. And I think it starts at the ocean, one would assume, and goes up into the mountains, but it added too many miles onto my day. And, you know, people are always like, you got to do this, you got to do this. I got to come back for that.
You're like, I'm also in Canada right
now.
Like,
yeah.
This
and
wasn't
like,
part of my plan.
Every trip, there's a very long period where I'm like, I should just go the fuck home. I should not be doing this. Like, I should just go home, save money, stare at the walls. No, I shouldn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also a point where I get too far and people are like, we're watching you. And I'm like, I got to do it now. I must do it.
No pressure.
Yeah. So I get into Canada. It was so clean. It was very odd. I was like, there's not one speck of trash anywhere. And I rode these random back roads to this smaller entry point, I guess. And it was chill. There was a lot of people going in and out. And I'd been to Mexico before on the bike, but I'd never been to Canada ever across the board. So I was staying in Kamloops that night. And that's kind of northeast of the border. And man, I was riding through there. First off, doing the math of kilometers per hour and miles per hour was not for me. I was like, I don't understand anything right now. I don't know what's going on. And it was a rough ride. It was so beautiful. My riding and my trip up to now, I was like, oh, wow. I did something to get into the universe's favors here. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm seeing these beautiful mountains. It's so green. It was awesome. even just that part, and that's British Columbia. Well, I'm riding into a storm now, and I can see it on the other side of the mountains.
Big old Canadian storm.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Mother Nature said she hasn't had a hard time yet. Let's give her one.
Let's fuck this trip up real quick.
So I'm like, shit. And I'm waiting to the last minute because putting all your gear on sucks. You got to find a place to pull over.
And if you put that rain gear on early, you're not going to hit the rain.
No,
like something's going to happen. You're just not
going to. It's going to, like, the seas are going to part and you're just going to be in a little non-rain patch the whole time. So I eventually pull over and I'm like, okay, this is fine. This trip is fine up to now. We're chilling. I'm under a bridge putting all my gear on. That bridge doesn't go back to the freeway. I got off and there wasn't a way back on that I could find. So I just figured it out. I was like, oh, and it was like a construction site. I was like, this is where you're going to find my body. If anyone needs me, I'll be here in this undisclosed location in Canada. Forever. No idea where I am. So I finally got back on the freeway. It's fine. It's raining. It hurts. It's hard. It's a road I don't know. It's everything I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just kind of like living life, pretending I belong there. But I'm on the Dyna, so my license plate's Oklahoma. So they think I'm even further away from home than I actually am. And I'm coming, and there's semis, and they're with the semis. We're in the correct lane for once. Imagine that. And you're just kind of, you're like, this fucking sucks, but whatever.
Part of the adventure.
Yeah. And coming towards me, there's a guy flashing his lights. And I'm kind of slowing down. I'm like, oh, are my brights on? Like, I don't remember turning my brights on, but sometimes you never know. Like, especially when you got all the rain things on, you're like the marshmallow man. And I was like, that's weird. So I'm like looking down. I'm like, oh, and I look up and there's headlights coming at me, pointing at me. And I was like, that's not right. That shouldn't be like that. And so I'm like, somebody had spun out ahead of me and fully turned around and was in the lanes looking at me. But right after that happened, somebody else had pulled over and blocked one of the headlights. So you couldn't really see what's going on. The woman was out of her car on the side of the road, like hyperventilating. These guys were consoling her. Her car was in the road with a car in front of her car. It's still. And I was like, and I kind of like finally get over. I was like, oh shit. I like swerve around him and I'm trying to like take in what's happening right now. And there's like semis coming. There's so much stuff happening. And I was just, you guys could probably get her car out of the road.
Probably move.
Just probably move.
Probably move.
Yeah. Probably should move. And so I was like, you know what? They really did. They got it. So I had a miserable ride for the rest of the time. It was raining hard, but it kind of cleared up a bit. And it was like, there was like these meadows with big lakes in them and rainbows. And it was crazy. It was a really good ride, but it was a rough day. So I got to my hotel in Kamloops and I ordered some food. It was an entire box of chicken. I don't know what I ordered. There was no quantity option. Like, and it was an entire box of chicken nuggets. Like a box. Like a cat carrier that you take your cat to the vet in of chicken is how I felt. Well, yeah, it was crazy. So yeah. So I went to Kamloops. It was a great stay. Just hung out there. Wasn't anything big or exciting except for the woman looking at me. Mm-hmm. And the next day I'm riding to Calgary. So I have another bunker biker in Calgary. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually going to stay there for a few days just to kind of waste time in between. Well, that day I got to ride through Banff. And so I was riding to Banff and then I was going to spend a whole day while I was there to come back into Banff and tootle around. Mm-hmm. And then me and this woman had just been emailing the whole time. And now my phone isn't charging on my bike. I only have 3 apps open, but it's just not charging enough to stay alive. So my phone's dying. Every time I see a road sign that's like 200 kilometers, I'm like, wait a minute. I did not plan for that many miles. And I'm like, oh yeah, wait.
Yeah, it's half of that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I was just having fun, just like figured it out. It was a doozy. I met 3 other single women on bikes.
Just randomly?
Rode next to them. I was like, yeah, friends? Are we friends?
Were they all together or like
no,
individually?
Separately. Wow. Just randomly. And then there was one point where I was hauling ass through Banff around a semi. And as I'm getting back into the right lane, this other bike is suddenly there. And I was like, oh shit. Sorry, I didn't see you were like right in front of the semi. I did not see you, obviously. It's another girl on a bike. And we look at each other and we're like, hey. Yep. No. by, we both sent it.
Oh, hell
through,
yeah.
and it's big sweepers. It's not raining this day, luckily.
Oh, they on Harleys?
She was on an adventure bike. She was
Okay.
like a very outdoorsy. She loved camping.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying loved because she's around.
Yeah.
She lives in Northern California. So I'm just zooming around, but I have my 360 camera on. So I'm filming her. So she gets ahead of me and we're just ripping it. I don't know what the speed limit was. I don't know what speed limit we were doing. Insert speed limit here. Yeah. No idea. We had a blast. And so I need gas and she starts to kind of pull over and I was like, oh, that's a gas station. That's literally the only gas station. This is going to be so fucking creepy. So I just like calmly followed her to the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hi.
I'm Jess. You want to be friends?
Hello. I was like, hey, I got some video of you. Do you want me to like send it to you sometime? Like, I still have not done that. I'm so sorry. My bad. And she was like, yeah, that's cool. And we were like, oh, we should connect on Instagram. And she was just on a 2 or 3 week trip around Canada. She roughed it. She would like camp everywhere. She was doing off-road mostly, all sorts of stuff. This is so big. It's so weird.
You've worn it before. I don't know why it's an issue this time. But.
Maybe my head shrank. It was really cool. So we were just chatting and I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to freak you out. I just was like, I want to get your information so I can send you this video.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, it's fine. So we get each other on Instagram. Oh, we follow each other. We're friends. We've talked.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Holy.
She was like, I follow you. And I was like, wait, what? So we talked last in like 2020 when I was on my big trip on the Sporty.
Wow.
And you know how sometimes if you don't see people a lot, they just kind of filters them out.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? So we were like, oh, we know each other.
Yeah.
In Canada.
That's pretty wild.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I cruise on. She was like, well, I'm going this way. If you want to come and stay at my campsite with me, you can. I was like, I will not do that. I hate camping.
Not doing that. No.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I did have camping gear on me because unfortunately the second event I was going to is camping only. So the entire trip I had to carry around a huge bag of camping gear and everyone made fun of me.
Just for one part of it.
Yeah. Just for a part of it.
I'm not even looking forward to this part.
No, the worst part. And everyone was like, but damn, you moving? Everyone always makes fun of me. I was like, well, this huge bag on my sissy bar is actually just camping stuff. So it'd be great if I didn't have to have this. But so I get to Calgary. The guy's really nice. I think the worst part about as soon as you land, it's like, hi, you're in someone's face and someone's talking to you immediately.
And you're still like bumping a little bit from the ride.
Yeah.
You're still like.
I was just standing there in my
100%.
rain suit, which I wore again. And guess what? It didn't rain. Great. Love that for me.
I have a funny story about that. Let me make sure to remind me afterwards about like taking your helmet off and trying to like be in the moment.
Yeah.
And then I turn around and Lenny's trying to fight a guy. So I have to, don't let me forget to tell that story because that just happened
off
last
camera
week.
or on camera?
No, that's an on camera
Oh
story.
yeah.
Yeah.
Len's going to love it. And they were a couple. They're French Canadian in Calgary and they were really, really nice. He was like, and there was another woman staying there. I guess they had another friend in on her motorcycle and they were just like hosting multiple bunker bikers that day.
Oh, wow.
And I guess they'd known each other for a while. So I was staying in the basement. I had a whole basement to myself to just like spread out. I got to spread all my shit out and just reorganize stuff and figure it out. And he was like, hey, just so you know, like I've lived here for years and years and years. I'm taking Monica out to Banff tomorrow and we're going to do roads that like nobody really knows about. And I was like, he's like, you can come with us if you want. I was like, sure, that sounds good. Cool. So we spent the whole next day like cruising around Banff, going to like lakes that aren't like on the main. I wouldn't have known to go to there. I wouldn't have known.
Dude. Side quest.
And he's like the perfect guide because he's like, yeah, this happens. We saw so many animals, so many creatures. Did you know in Alberta, they're the only province that own, I'm going to get this wrong and a Canadian's going to be mad at me, but in a real nice way. If you hit a deer or an animal in Alberta, you call the game and wildlife people and they pay you for it. They pay you for damages because they take responsibility for the animals as well.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I think he said that he hit a deer once in his car and got $600.
All right.
And you call them, and so what they do is they come on site, and if it's fresh enough, they actually skin it and chop it up on site, and they take it to to underprivileged communities and give the meat out. But I don't know what they do with it if it's not.
It's been like a day.
Yeah, like taxidermy it. I'm not sure. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Canada was really cool. I really liked it. I'd love to go back and adventure. And it's great. This is sounding like the most boring story in the world.
No,
but honestly, I will take this boring story over the story we have to tell after this.
Fair.
So I'll take it. And I just chill. It was great. And that night, I was leaving the next day. And they were like, hey, we're going to cook some dinner. Do you want some? I was like, yeah. I don't get home cooked food a lot. I know that I'm a woman. I should like know how to cook or something. It's just me. I have a weird schedule. Work comes up randomly. Mm-hmm. It could be a day. It could be a week. So things go bad in my fridge. So I don't get groceries a lot.
Plus you live in LA.
Yeah. And
I feel like people in LA just can't cook.
Yeah, I probably could. I just don't care to,
It's not gonna happen.
you know, and I'm not a leftover person. So then I'm like, well, what do I do with all this fucking food?
Great.
The same thing again. Love it. So she was like, yeah, we're going to cook. No big deal. And I was like, okay, cool. So, it's funny. Their friend Monica only spoke French.
Okay.
So we were like in this weird translation thing and I was just vibing with them. I was like, all right, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the fuck's happening right now. But they were so nice. They were very experienced riders. Both of them had bikes and they always let you park in the garage. They were so far everywhere. There's like inside parking for your bike. There are other bikers, so they know where to go, how to go. And he was like, okay, so tomorrow I was dropping into Glacier the next day. Tomorrow, do this road, this road, this road, this road. And I was like, okay. And I like took really good notes. Well, I ate way too much food because I was like, this is the only actual food I've gotten in a long time.
Yep.
Because this trip, I really tried to prioritize stopping and eating because sometimes I just forget. And then I get somewhere, I'm like, why do I feel like shit? Mm-hmm. Oh, because I haven't had any protein.
I'll get like a really bad brain fog.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like out of it. Like, oh, wait a minute. You haven't eaten anything.
You're a space case. Yeah. Yeah. I get lightheaded, which is not fun on the bike.
Yeah.
The next day, the day that gentleman took us out where we went to Lake Louise. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen it?
No.
It's blue. Like it's blue glacier water, but it's like bright blue. It's amazing. But we pull up and that girl's bike's there that I knew from the day before. Jeez. Apparently there's a tea house that's like a hike, like multiple mile hike up a mountain. And I texted her a picture of her bike. She's like, oh, I'm on the hike up to the mountain. And you go up to the mountain, you hike all the way up there. It's like miles and miles of treacherous hike. And you get like tea. And then you're like, great. And then you hike back down. Huh?
They live up there or something?
There's like, it's a tea house that you have to hike to get to, which seems fun for people who like walking that much. No, thank you. No, can you bring me some back?
Walking the mountains are over.
Yeah. And it's a mountain. It's not like a hike. It's a hike. I'm good. She had sticks, the stick things. I was like, that's too much.
Sticks?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
But yeah, she was there. She was like, if you want to camp tonight, let me know. I was like, I will. I love that you're offering, but you don't know me well enough because I hate it. Especially, I feel like she's roughs it. Yeah. So I was like, I'm a princess. Please don't make me do this.
I'm not doing this.
Okay, so going back to the night I'm leaving, I eat food crazy. I get back down to the basement. I pack all my shit up. I'm ready to go. Well, I wake up at the time to wake up, and there's something going on in my stomach. And I hate throwing up more than anything in the world. I will do anything I can do to not do it. Some people, if they drink too much or if they feel bad, they're like, just throw up.
Pull the trigger. Yep.
No.
Not doing it.
Hate it. I hate it so much. So I wake up and I'm like, my tummy's kind of rumbly. And I like put my shirt over my face and just like tried to go back to sleep. I was like, I'm going to be a turtle. This is fine. I'll just sleep this off. It's fine. No. I woke up. I had food poisoning. And I'm in the basement and I'm unfortunately throwing up violently. Bad. It was not good. And I hate it so much. And I text the guy upstairs. I'm like, hey, I'm not feeling super well this morning. I'll be up in a little bit. Like, it's going to take me a minute. He was like, yeah, I can hear you kind of coughing. And I was like, oh my God, this is my fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, it's my wife's cooking. And I went, what? I thought he was good. I was like, no. Oh, sure. You know how like people razz each other? I was like, sure. It's not, I'm sure. No, I think he was like, no, I'm serious. I was like,
what did she make?
Meatloaf. I can't even think about it too hard. So I wake up and I feel like, because now I'm dehydrated, I'm starving. I have a bad headache and I can't put anything in my stomach. I can't even drink water. I can't drink anything. So now I'm in a full rain suit looking like death. I have it on my stories. I look insane. And then I cinched the rain suit around my face like this. So I look like a worm. And I was like, and then I put my helmet on and I was like, all right, I gotta go. He was like, remember to do the nice route. And I was like, I'm not doing the nice route. I'm gonna go straight there. I cannot survive this at all. I'm dying. I got a little bit out of town and I was like, I gotta pull over. And I just like slept in a parking lot for a little bit.
Ooh.
It was bad. It was not good. Luckily, it was just throw up poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine anything else.
That would have been terrible.
But I just imagined my helmet filling up with throw up at some point. I was like, I'm going to drown.
Yeah,
this is going to go so bad. I felt like death. It was awful. So I ride straight out there. And then I'm at one of my last gas stops in Canada. And this guy is on it might have been like a Honda, like some sort of, it was like a Harley looking type bike. He had so much shit on his bike. And I was like, are we best friends? Did we just become best friends? You have so much stuff.
Yeah.
And he was the nicest. He was on a road trip by himself. Turns out all his was camping gear. I was like, that's it. Mine's a hairdryer. So no big deal.
Yeah. Not the same.
And he was so nice. He was on a tour all around Canada. He's a little Canadian guy and he was going home ahead of time to surprise his wife on her birthday. And I was like, that's cool. But he talked to me for an hour and a half while I literally was just dying. I didn't have the heart to be like,
leave me alone.
I'm so sorry. I have to go. I let him talk to me forever. And finally he was like, well, I got to go. I was like, ooh, yeah.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah. Rough. He was so nice. So I'm dying all the way. I get into Montana. I'm dying. Everything's awful. I hate everything.
I'm miserable.
I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. And finally I have a friend who owns a Airbnb called the Lynx Den in East Glacier Park. Like it's off the main road. And he let me rent it I had 4 days in Glacier. So that's where I was going. Well, I get into like kind of East Glacier National Park and there's a restaurant. I'm like, you know what? I kind of feel okay. This is good. Okay. It's like the end of the day. I'm going to have
24-hour bug. I'm going to be all right.
Yeah. It's pizza. And so I got Dr. Pepper for some reason. I thought that was a good idea. And I sucked that thing down.
You were just
because I was like, I feel so good. I feel so good. This is fun.
Yeah.
My pizza comes. I get one bite in me.
Nope.
And as soon as it hit my stomach, I was like, nope. Like, nope. So I haven't thrown up in public in years. Probably since I was a child.
Did you throw up in the restaurant?
I made it to the bathroom barely. But there's like families eating outside of the bathroom. And I'm like, I'm going to need a box, please. Can we box this up? So it was so good too. The pizza was like perfectly mushy. The pepperoni was perfect. Everything was great. And I was like, why?
Why am I sick right now?
Yeah. So I finally get to the cabin. This cabin's really, really, really cute. It was great. So I had a great time at the cabin. I'm dying. I think that last bit got the poisoning out of me. So I then could eat this cold pizza that was not as good the first time.
That's kind of my mindset too. Like when I get sick like that, I'm like, I'm just going to force it out. And I don't know if that's correct or not, but I will just slam waters because it's easier to throw up water. And I'm just like, I'm going to force whatever this is out of me. And it's probably not how it works.
I think it is.
That's how I treat it.
I think it kind of is because I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but that last little bit got it out of me.
Yep.
And so I could eat.
That's how I do it.
Yeah. And I was like, this is great. But I hate throwing up so much. I'll do anything. It's my
miserable.
It's awful. Have you ever had it come out of your nose? It's terrible.
Yeah. It burns too.
Awful.
It's like the stomach acid gets in your nose.
When I was younger, when I first turned 21, I would drink margaritas with a splash of orange juice. Can't do that anymore. Because doesn't
heartburn.
taste.
That just
heartburn and
heartburn.
burns everything else coming up.
Yeah.
So no thanks.
I'm doing and this is a way of keeping myself accountable.
Yeah.
We talked about in the parking lot. I'm doing 90 days sober.
Nice.
I'm on day 2.
That'd be great. Day 2.
Yeah. Shout out
you
to.
You don't drink that much though, do you?
More than probably.
Like more casual.
Yeah. Like probably more than I should, but I just was like this past beginning of the year, Dustin and I got with Mark Porter. Shout out to Mark, and we were like hitting it super hard. We had this whole regiment, and we were eating right, but I would still like have beers with dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, at the beginning of the year, I was pretty big, like in a good way. Like I was like, damn, all right, we're kind of doing something here.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the family got back out here in May, I was like, I'll fucking hang out.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 6 months of me hanging out, and I'm like, time to make change.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do like the full like meal program,
Yeah.
the training regimen thing, and then no booze. And just before and after pictures. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Might as well.
But I'm saying it on here to like make sure that I can stick with it.
Hey, if you see him with a beer, slap it out of his hand.
Call me out. You won't see me with a beer. Like if I say it, I'm gonna do it. But we'll see. Like 60 days in, I know. Like at my event this weekend, I'll be like, oh god, I want to have a beer so bad. bad, but like it's not gonna happen.
That's all right.
We'll make it.
Made it through worse.
Yeah,
you'll be all right.
100%.
You'll make it be all right. So, yeah, oof. Beer, drinking, woof.
Ugh,
yeah,
I don't want
no thanks. No. You're like, I'm good.
I'm good.
You're at like your liquid death.
Yeah, that's my way because I still like the like fixation of like
something.
Like something. That's like the little carbonated liquid death thing. Mango chainsaw.
It's a good one.
Shout out to Liquid Death.
Shout out to Liquid Death. Please sponsor him and me. Yeah, so I just realized just now in my head that if I keep telling the story at the pace I'm telling it, we're going to go 900 hours. So I'm going to speed this up.
Oh, yeah. We're only 40 minutes in. You're good. You're good.
We haven't even gotten to the story. So get to Glacier. I ride around Glacier, going to the Sun Road. I have a full day. The rest of that day, I just like laid in a coma. And the next day I felt great. So I got to go in the Sun Road, which it really tests your clutch a lot because there's so many people. People
constantly just ching, ching, ching,
but it was so beautiful. I highly recommend it. I got to kind of just toot around. I had 4 days, so I was like, I'll just do this today, do something tomorrow. And in LA, this girl had told me about this thing called the Brash Rodeo in Columbia Falls, Montana. She's like, you have to go. And I was actually nearby. So I went to that one night. It was cool. I met some girls there. I say my age, but I think they were in their 20s, so not my age. They were cool. They like took me under their wing. So it's behind
you're
a
with
bar.
Us now.
Yeah, it's behind a bar. The rodeo is.
Okay.
And everyone goes to the rodeo. It's like $6 to get in, and goes to the bar and drinks and dances after. I was like, okay, cool. So they were really, really cool to like let me into their little circle. But the ride home that night, it was an hour and a half, pitch black. And they have so many of those reflectors.
Yeah.
The whole route, it tripped me the fuck out.
It'll throw you off.
It fucks with my head. I was like, I don't understand. Like, I see reflectors everywhere, but I can't comprehend which way they go.
Because your depth perception's off at night. So you can't tell, like, is that coming closer or going away or what's going on here?
And cars were just blasting past me.
Yeah.
I would just get over, like, I can't. Because can I make this shorter by going faster? Yes. But is there a deer? Is there a creature? I don't know. So I'll just go a medium speed.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it.
There was a point where I see the taillights ahead of me, and then they kind of disappear, but then I see taillights off the side of the road, and I was like, because it's dark. And they can tell that I'm alone, obviously. My tag says boy bye, so I'm probably not a boy. And I was like, so I kind of slowed down, and I get near them, and they pull out in front of me. And I was like, oh, no. I go past them finally. I was like, rrr. They pull up behind me and go really, really slow.
That's weird.
And I was like, oh no, what is happening right now? It's 11:30 at night in Glacier National Park. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. I mean, and they don't have good headlights. So I sometimes will bond with cars at night. Like, we're best friends, and now our headlights are all one. So I ride right next to them, and we usually get it. I'm like, we're helping each other right now.
I'm being seen now because I'm next to you.
This person didn't have good headlights, so I don't know what the hell they were doing. They followed me the entire way, and there was a point where I was like, I'm just gonna have to go not to where I'm going. I can't pull into the cabin like with a car this close to me. I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know that.
Why don't they just go around me? I don't know. And so finally I pull over. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to let them know where I'm going. And they slowly creep past me. And I was like, okay. So I just got back on the road. And then I launched up this mud mountain into my cabin, turned my bike off immediately. So there's like no lights, so they can't know where I am. And I was like, I actually sometimes don't think of how dangerous it is to be out here by myself.
Yeah.
I just don't think of it.
That would make me so nervous.
Yeah, but it's good that I have that wherewithal to be like, this is weird.
This is sketchy, yeah. I mean, that happens to me too. Like, even as silly as it sounds, like coming back from that rip that me and you did from Josie's to the roundabout, right? Like, my house is probably 5 miles to the direction of that west of that roundabout where we split off.
Yeah.
And I've ridden that ride at night coming back from Josie's to that area when it's like 10:30. Yeah. And it's creepy. Even like as a man by yourself out there, it's like, I don't really want to go slow. Like, I know there's a lot of wildlife out here. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on out here. Yeah. I'm good.
It's rough.
And I'm not a female. Like, so I can't imagine.
I was like, I think it's hard because I have to talk to myself about, like, it's not because I am a girl. It's because other people know I'm a girl and they'll think I'm an easier prey. Not because I'm female, I am an easier prey. I'm just saying they're going to see that and think I'm easier.
Right.
Honestly, you could put some ice cream signs up and I'd follow them to hell. I learned that on one of my trips. Yeah, I learned that on one of my trips. I think it was this trip. So did Glacier, was a blast. Didn't get kidnapped. I have some family in Island Park, Idaho, that I've never met. It's my grandma's niece.
Okay.
And they like they're in their 70s and they ride 4-wheelers and stuff. And so I had arranged to go stay in their cabin with them, a huge house cabin in like this private place in Idaho, Island Park. I always want to say Park Island. I don't know why. Probably like a Shutter Island. Yeah. And they were like, do you want to go 70s, mind you? Do you want to go out on the ATVs tomorrow? I was like, no, I think I shouldn't do that. And they're like, you'll be fine. You'll be great. So we get up in the morning and I put on this helmet that's never been washed. I just wanted to wear my helmet. They're like, it's going to get dirty and get grains in it. And I was like, oh. But it's fine. I should have washed their helmets before I left, but it's fine because it's just dirt.
Yeah.
And there's beautiful paths. They live right west of Yellowstone National Park.
Okay.
Like we rode to the border of Yellowstone National Park. So they're right there.
Yeah.
We went around. I crashed immediately into a tree down a ravine.
Shit.
And I'm with Louise, she's a very with it, but like we can't get this ATV out of here. And I'm terrified. I think what happened is some deep sand got me and I was going this way and it overcorrected and went across and just hit into a tree. And I was like, well, and I remember I lurched forward and I moved my head to not hit the tree. And I kind of launched out of it. And then I was like, I'm fine.
I'm good.
I'm
we
good.
made it.
She was terrified, but I was like, I'm good. So some people stopped and helped us out of that. And I did that for a few days and I arranged to come back after my next event and do that, just hang out with them a little bit more because I had time to waste. I didn't have any work. So, but now it's kind of getting closer to my trip, my second event. So my plans kind of get annihilated by some rain. I wanted to do Lolo Pass, which goes east to west or west to east through Idaho. I was going to do Lolo Pass from Missoula, Montana, go back west, and then come east to get to my event.
Okay.
That didn't make sense on paper, but it did, but it was raining so bad. And Lolo Pass is apparently at this time, I didn't know, very sketchy, but beautiful. And I was like, I don't want to do it while it's raining. That sucks. Yeah. So I changed my plans. I had wanted to get going to the sun tattoo. I want to start my right leg of just like symbols of places I've been, like Tail the Dragon, $1 Million Highway, Going to the Sun, Beartooth Highway. And I found a female tattoo artist that rides in Whitefish, Montana. Perfect. And I saw her the day before I left Glacier. And I was like, oh shit. I wish I would have like known you were here. Like fuck. And she was like, oh, I'm out of town this weekend. Hit me up next time you're in town. I was like, okay, I'll be right there.
Yeah, okay. I'll be.
She was really cool. But then my plans got canceled. So I texted her on the number she has and she was like, we're actually in Missoula tonight. We're going to see Tyler Childers. And I was like,
whoa, that sounds cool.
Tyler Childers is in Missoula? She was like, yeah. That. So I'm looking up tickets and I was like, is it creepy if I also go now? Yeah. She's like, no, it's cool. Dude, she invited me. I got my own little ticket. I had this really snazzy jacket that Moonrider made me, the velvet one with the fringe. I love the fringe. And I was like, do I have the perfect outfit for this? Yes, I do. Thank you. Everyone's like, why do you have so many jackets? For this reason, exactly.
This is exactly why.
Thank you.
Childers in Missoula.
Yeah. And so I bought a ticket. Motel 6 was $350 that night because everything was so sold out. So I was just like, all right, got to suck it up. Yep. And I stayed in Missoula. I did some laundry. Then went to Tyler Childers and then... They were a fun group. So they were at a hotel next to me and they just like invited me in like I was homies. Yeah. They're like, yeah, no big deal.
It's like a theme with you when you go on the road. You just like you get like adopted by these groups of people that just accept you.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm you now. Cool. So I got to see Tyler Childers in Missoula. The very first ever drone light show at a country concert.
That was pretty cool.
We didn't know what was happening. All these drones like came up from behind the stage and not a pattern. Dude, he made a rooster that crowed. Mind you, we're in a stadium. So how from every aspect does this drone sculpture look the same? Yeah. That blows my mind. He made a mule that like went like this to the whole crowd. Insane. I have video of it because I was like, and then some of them went along with the songs he was singing and I was like, what the fuck? This is amazing. This is amazing. It was his last show in America before he went to Europe. So I think he did like a big blowout for it. Okay. And that was crazy. Yeah, so it's time to go to my next event eventually. I got this completely mixed up, but it's fine because squirrel. I'm in Billings, which have you ever been in Billings, Montana? It's a town. It's nothing fancy. And I see a Harley coming in, and I'm like, well, if I need anything, there's a Harley. That's good. And I stay at this Dude Ranch Motel, which this carpet was sticky. It was fine.
Yeah.
I guess it's a casino town, so there were cars everywhere, but not people. No people. And I walked around like the little antique, like the old historic downtown. And I was like, there's no humans. Where is everyone? And then I found out that a couple of the blocks, the downstairs floor was a casino. So everyone was in the casinos, which I didn't care to go in. I was like,
no, I'm not a casino guy.
This is weird though, because it's just cars.
Yeah.
And the next morning, getting ready. I'm getting like attacked by bees the next morning. I wake up, I put all my stuff on, and I'm like, oh, there's a bee. And I've been having bee problems lately, honestly, for the past year.
You just said you just got stung like yesterday.
Literally my foot hurts right now. I got stung yesterday. This is the third sting this year. But they just also attract to me. Like if there's a bee anywhere, it now is on somewhere around me.
At that one.
And there were 20 bees on my bike. I couldn't get to my bike.
Shit.
And then I would like swat one and it would chase me around the hotel. I'm freaking out. I'm like, I can't get onto my bike because there's so many bees. What do I do?
Yeah.
So I eventually just had to I didn't even have my helmet on because they were in my helmet. And I was like, okay. And I just backed out of that area and then zoomed off really fast and then put my helmet on elsewhere. And I was like, bees, please get out. Because I was like, there was just a huge swarm. It was crazy. They were everywhere. And then a couple of them stayed on my windshield for a little bit. And I was like, fuck off, dude.
Yeah.
Please. What's going on? I don't understand. Bees. But yeah, one would chase me. If I swatted at it, it would chase me. I was like, this is on purpose, little bee. You're not just following me around. I'm running like a fucking mad woman around this hotel.
I'm trying to get away from you.
Yeah. And you're chasing me. And I'm zooming and I'm looking for I like to find cool murals or paintings to take a picture with the bike in front of it. Mm-hmm. I was here. Cool. Yeah. I find one, but my bike shuts off. And I'm like, it did this in Idaho too once. And by this time, somewhere in Montana before this, the ring, so you know how your keyhole has a ring around it that helps you turn. You might not actually have that because you have a road glide. Yours is up here. I know what you're talking about. But the ring. Mm-hmm. Fucked off.
Yeah, that's what you have.
It's in Montana
now, right?
Yeah. So now, I'm actually still to this day starting my bike with vice grips. So great, love it. It's real ghetto. And I was like, well, maybe the vice grips are too heavy for the ignition, and it just clicked it off for a second. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it, and then it starts up again. And I call Preston at Santa Cruz to Harley Davidson. I was like, hey, can you help me? I don't know what's going on. He's like, well, I don't know if I'm not there. So I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you.
And I was like, okay, cool. So I stop on the side of the road and then it starts up again and I can ride a little bit. And I'm like, okay, it seems to be fine. And then at idle, it dies again. I'm like, what the fuck? And now I'm on a time crunch. That day I had to get to Devil's Tower to start the camp out. I'm zooming. It's awful. So now I'm on the side of the road. I call MTS. They're like, well, we can find someone for you. And this old man stops and I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at my bike, trying to figure something out. Because it wasn't a battery issue because I wasn't losing power. It was just the engine and it wouldn't sputter out. You know how sometimes it goes pop, pop, pop. Nothing, none going. Mm-hmm. And I was like, shit. And he's like, just gun it to Harley. I was like, what? He's like, put it in first and keep it above 2,000 RPMs and just run every light to Harley.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I could do that. Yeah, I guess I could. He was like, you can do it. 75 through Billings, Montana, running every light. I just went around people. I was going so fast all the way to, and I had to stop at one light and I just had to keep it revving. And there was a guy in a truck next to me. I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm so sorry. I have to do this. I know how to ride this. I promise.
Yeah. I have to do this.
I understand how this works.
Yeah.
And I get to Harley and they're really accommodating. If you tell them you're on the road, they usually try to help you out ahead of time. So they don't know. They were really, really nice there. They really did fix it up, but they can't figure out exactly what's wrong. And I finally was like, do you have another? They were like, we think it's this part, but we won't know until we get the new one. Well, I don't really have time for that. I was like, do you have another Dyna back there? And they're like, yeah. I was like, take it off that bike, put it on my bike, see if it works.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Run that.
And they're like, oh, yeah. So it was the idle air control.
Okay.
Well, that won't be here for a while because we're in Billings, Montana.
Right.
And they keep trying to fix it. And they're like, at 5 p.m. I was supposed to be at Devil's Tower by 6, and it's 3 hours away.
You ain't gonna make it.
5 hours away? It was hours.
Yeah.
Some hours away.
Far.
So I'm like, shit, I have to rent a bike. I have to go because luckily you linked me up with Law Tigers. And that saved my ass that day.
Really?
Yeah, because I had talked to Gabe earlier that day. And he was like, you know what? We like what you're doing. I'll help you out like on the road if you need anything. Like we would love to partner with you. And that money help me rent a bike.
Shit.
And I was at this point, I was like, now I'm kind of like required to go to this event because I've told tons of people I'm going to be there.
He's stoked to hear that too.
Yeah. It like saved my butt.
Yeah.
I mean, that bike was really expensive to rent. So they were like, oh, we have a Road Glide for you. And I was like, okay. Mind you, I had already done this on a Road Glide the month before. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do it on my motorcycle. Yep. It was really expensive. It was not fun. And I was like, fuck, fine. So now I'm having to unpack my Dyna, put everything in a Road Glide. Not everything fit. Mind you, I fit more on the Dyna than I did on the Road Glide. Thank you so much. I think it's because the bags are hard. Yep. You can't just
That's
like
exactly
shove
why I
random
went
shit in
to
there.
Leather Pros.
Yeah.
It's because they're like malleable. I can fit more stuff in them.
Yeah, fit more shit.
Yep.
And it's funny because this man's like, well, you're getting this Road Glide. Are you familiar with it? And I was like, a little. I'm a little familiar.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And they were all the mechanics were at the window like, what is happening right now? Like
they all want to know.
Yeah, they're like, what? Why are you giving this? Because at first he was like, do you want a Heritage? I was like, no, I want a Road. If you got a Road Glide, I want a Road Glide. He's like, okay. I was like, okay.
Give me a Road Glide.
Yeah. So I start loading up the bike. I was like, oh shit, wait. And I start to take off the bags because of suspension. I needed the suspension higher is what I learned on the Road Glide Harley gave me.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, I got to fix the suspension. And the guys are like, what? I was like, and I took off the bags. It was at 5. It needed at 25. I twisted there. I was there for so long twisting that thing. I think an hour passed. And the guy comes out. He's like, you know what you're doing. I've never had any customers adjust the suspension before they left. I was like, they should do that every time.
Yeah.
It's under the left bag on a Road Glide. It needs to be at 20. It comes stock at 15. And if you have a lot of shit, 25. And I was like, yeah, I told you I rode one for like a month before this. So, zooming off. Yeah. I load up the bike and everyone's just at the window waiting to see if I'm going to eat shit. Is she going to
dump this thing?
Yeah. They were like, are she going to dump it? And I fucking ripped it around a corner and I looked back. I was like, bye.
Bye.
Bye. So they were like, okay, we can get your part maybe Saturday. So it was a holiday on Monday. So if they couldn't get my part Saturday, not only was my entire trip fucked, I now had to rent a bike for 2 extra days, which is $700 extra. It was a mess.
Yeah.
So I'm riding. It was bad. So this story is awful. Just so you know, I feel like I'm everywhere right now.
This is what people want to hear. People want to hear on the road stories.
My random fucking stories. I was not going to make it to Devil's Tower on time. I'm going to Devilstone Run. I don't know a fucking person. I technically knew someone, but we were not going together anymore. So I didn't know a person. I knew a couple of the girls online. I had met Amelia just at events here and there. And I knew Brady just from him being everywhere all the time. Yeah. He's really cool. But I didn't realize until after. I was like, I didn't know a fucking person at that event.
Here I am.
And so I'm riding through the dark, and that's when I paired up with a car, and we rode side by side. Every foot of that entire stretch, there were deer standing on the side of the road, just looking at you.
Out towards Devil's Tower.
It's terrifying.
Yep, 100%.
Terrifying. Well, now I get off the main freeway. I'm alone, and it's a windy ass road up to Devil's Tower. 47 deer. 47.
Counted?
Yep.
Yeah, I believe it. They
were just ominously standing.
Every year, I'll just start like somebody we know hits a deer.
Yeah.
Like somebody hits
and
a deer.
I was freezing. I had worn Vans that day, the one time I ever rode in Vans in my life. And I was like, my feet are frozen and gone now. Great.
Yep.
And I get to the campsite and I didn't know anyone. It's terrifying. I'm on a Road Glide. It's off-road. Not my bike, loaded down. And it's just a huge group of dudes
like, I'm gonna
standing there, walking in. Thing. And I'm like, I don't know anyone. I don't know what to do. Everyone's asleep. It's 10:30 at night. I'm fucked. And so a girl comes up that I had met. I was like, can you please help me? When I just messaged her, she helped me set up my tent. It was a blast. So that event is really, really fun. I'm going to go next year as well. Are you looking at the time right now?
No, not at all. No, I was looking at this to see if I had room to set my coffee up here. Because Doug always yells at me for having stuff over here.
I like drinks.
So now I have to be careful about where I put things. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Get your coffee.
All right, we're good. I got the approval.
Coffee it up. Yeah, so that was a dilemma. I really wanted to ride Beartooth Highway on my Dyna because it's twisty as hell. Have you ever done Beartooth?
I'm not, no.
It's beautiful. It was my favorite road.
Okay.
At this point. And I've done it on the Sporty now. I've done it on a road glide, and I wanted to do it on my Dyna.
In relation to Devil's Tower?
It goes into Yellowstone East.
Oh,
so it's in Wyoming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this campsite, this event, you camp different places every night. Mm-hmm. So a lot of my life was packing up and packing out.
Yeah.
People would come over by my tent and be like, are you selling wares? Like, how much shit do you have right now? Because I would lay out a blanket and have all my things spread out. Like, none of this is for sale. So it was a really good event. I'd like to go next year. My bike got done the day we were all supposed to ride Beartooth.
So you had to shoot back and go get it.
So I had to ride up to fucking Billings and ride back down from Billings and just get to the campsite and call it good.
Yeah.
But I had my bike back.
There you go.
That's a plus, right?
Yeah.
Still no, I still started with some pliers, but it's fine. Yeah, so I finished that event. Honestly, it was really a cool event. We had slow racing. There was all sorts of stuff to do. They really put on a good vibe there. And it's beautiful. I mean, Yellowstone's beautiful. I've done Yellowstone quite a few times. I met people on the road where I was like, I'd always done Yellowstone by myself, so I kind of waited for other people. I was like, hey, can I ride with you through this? And they're like, yeah, sure. So they let me, two brothers let me join them. We went and had lunch and hung out and get to the last campsite. And it's the last day, so they're doing like a goodbye party and all that. And it was good. It was good to have my bike. And then I just kind of continued on. Nothing drastic happened for the rest of it, luckily.
Wow.
I know.
Very unjust like.
Yeah. Very. I think the one before that really got me.
Yeah.
It caught me up. So... yeah, but it was the heat wave in LA when I was coming home. I did Lolo Pass on the way home.
Yep.
Beautiful. Now one of my favorite road. Imagine a racetrack people get over for you that's in the mountains with a fat river next to you the whole way.
Where's that at? Lolo
Idaho.
Pass? Okay.
Yeah. And then I weaseled down Nevada and then came in. I rode into Bishop.
Gotcha.
And then I stopped in Bishop. It was hard as shit. Western Nevada was cooler than anywhere in California. Yep. So I rode through Western Nevada and I was like, I'm actually kind of cold right now. This is weird.
Let me cut across.
The minute I got to the border, hot as shit.
Yep.
I was like, what the fuck happened here?
Down the 395.
How did that happen? Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask my hotel if I can, I'll just leave at 3 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah. Don't ride through Mojave, California at 3 a.m. as a single woman. Don't do it.
Sketchy, dude.
I was riding on that freeway. It was kind of sprinkling. Was not prepared for that. It is
so sketchy out there.
And a guy runs out in front of me in the road. There's trucks stopped, and there's a guy that runs into the road in front of me, like waving his arms. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I'm not stopping. I don't know what that is.
Ain't my problem. Yep.
That's some sort of trafficking situation.
Yep.
I'm really usually, and you know me, I almost stopped on the way here for a biker. Like I'm the person who's like,
where'd she go?
Yeah.
Just we don't know him. He's fine.
It's fine. Maybe he needs help. I've been on the road many times and needed help.
Reasonably pull over in a safe.
Yeah, that was a weird spot. Yeah.
Yeah, but I have to see you come in. I have to be in the right lane. I'm not gonna put myself in jeopardy trying to assist somebody. You know?
I get that.
That was always kind of a joke for work. Was because we were in SAR and it was always number one rule was don't make more SAR.
Yeah.
That's kind of my mindset on a lot of stuff.
Don't add to the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, that trip was good. So I did. Ended up. I had to come home for work eventually. You gotta work apparently.
Yeah,
yeah, I came home and it was the heat wave, and I just laid in my bed for 3 days and didn't do a fucking thing. I was super overwhelmed. I've been on the road a lot this year, so I've kind of stay packed.
Right.
But yeah, it was honestly not a bad trip. So it was about 6,400 miles in 26 days.
Yeah.
And that's with days off of not riding at all.
You're still moving.
So it was good. I would do that ride again, 100%. I love doing it on my bike. I don't know why. I just feel like we're the two amigos, and that's...
No, I get it.
Everyone's like, don't put the miles on your bike. I'm like, but it's not my bike then.
Yeah.
So that was all of August. I was on the road pretty much. It was pretty good. And then it was food poisoning. Don't get it, man.
No, don't get it.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
The trip before that, it was Babes Ride Out did an event in Deadwood, South Dakota.
Right.
So at that time, so that was all of my, what month was that? August? July. All of my July was on the road glide, pretty much. So July rolled around and Babes Ride Out Deadwood came up, and it's a super small event for women up in Deadwood, South Dakota. And I was like, oh, maybe I can go, maybe I can't. Who knows? My schedule's like that. I don't know if I can go until the day before I go. Who knows?
This is a weird story right now because I know this story.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I know. It's not always a fun story.
This is not a fun story, but it's
a tumultuous story, but it's a story.
You're the person.
My leg is so swollen right now.
You can be all right? Did you take anything?
Look, I don't have an ankle.
It looks all right. Catch that on camera. Make sure we don't get her feet, though, actually.
Yeah, no free feet. No free feet. That's not what my ankle normally looks like. So the dyno was in the shop, just waiting on parts. Nothing big. I've done it on the Sportster. I think I'm good on that. So I was really fortunate to, a while back, got hooked up with Harley, where they lent me bikes if I need, or on a trip, or just do like promo stuff with them and ride a bike around.
Yeah.
So I wrote him the week before. I was like, hey, do you happen to have a bike I can borrow?
I have a Road Glide?
It was right before Sturgis too. So I was like, there's no way.
They're not going to have shit.
All the press bikes are absolutely not here at all. And he was like, yeah, I actually have one. Do you want a tour pack on it? I was like, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
Tour packs are game changer.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I love having tour packs.
Yeah. And so I was like, I guess I'm riding to South Dakota next week. Cool. Mm-hmm. And I pack up that bike. Everyone's like, don't you want a bigger bike? I don't have anywhere to park that in Los Angeles.
Right.
I had to move my car fully out of its parking spot to park it. It's huge. Mm-hmm. So I packed it up and I was like, well, I'm riding to South Dakota. And I do all these trips by myself because it's a lot to coordinate things.
I completely agree. I love riding with the boys. Mm-hmm. Like, I love it. But riding by yourself and not having to entertain and keep this large group of people happy, so much simpler.
Yeah. Like, I can stop when I want. I can not stop when I want. I can look at a weird thing on the side of the road.
If I feel like it, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. I can go 90. I can go 4.
That's another thing. Is
whatever
like
kind
of, I don't want to say worrying about, but like not having to worry about anybody else is just a nice part of motorcycles.
I'm a lot to worry about myself, as we know. So
yeah, no, I get it.
But it does suck sometimes when you see such fucking amazing, beautiful, or even just unbelievable stuff, and you're
I wish somebody was here.
Oh, there's no one there.
Yep.
There's like no one.
Nobody gets to appreciate this with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not. You never explain it the same. Like it's not the same.
Yeah. It doesn't telling somebody how beautiful something was doesn't do it justice.
Yeah. They're like, cool. Yeah. Good story. So it's someday. But so I took off. I didn't have any work as it's slow right now in Los Angeles, so no work. And I was like, I'm going to go to this event in South Dakota. Let's see how it goes. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see. So I take off, and I had actually I ride, it's hot as shit. I leave at 2 a.m. from Los Angeles on this bagger, packed up. And I'm like, I'm doing all the desert at night, and I'm going to St. George, Utah that night. And then I had arranged for an Airbnb. I could check in early. So I was like, can I come in at 2 and just like spend the whole day in your house, please? And they're like, yeah, it's a guest house. Come early if you want. No big deal. And I left that morning, and I was on that Road Glide, and it was the bumpiest fucking thing I've ever ridden. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. I had no idea. Like, I was like, the ride can't be this bad. Yeah. There's no way.
People wouldn't buy these.
No. And I was like, my Olins on my Dyna and my Legends on my Sporty are better than this. Like, there's no, this is awful. So one of my friends was awake, and he had just gotten a Road Glide. He was like, take the left bag off. And I was like, oh, fuck. And that's how he taught me how to do this suspension. And so I rode all the way through the night to St. George, and I thought I was going to fall asleep. I made it just fine. I get into Vegas right when there's a big group of girls leaving from Vegas. They were doing a Jesse Combs memorial ride. Do you know who Jesse Combs is? Mm-hmm. I had one of the girls' locations, and as soon as the sun's rising, they were leaving, but I was coming into Vegas. So I fucking gunned it and caught them. Yes. I was like chasing her little dot for an hour and a half. And I finally find them, and they're all there was like 5 or 6 of them in a group. And I come up beside them, and I'm just looking at them. And they don't recognize this bike. They have no fucking clue what's going on.
What is this?
And I'm just like, like Forrest Gump off the boat. I'm like, hi. And then finally they're like, oh, it's Jessica. What the hell?
Yeah.
And I was like, I just went so to catch up with you. I just want you to know. But I was so excited. But I let them, they're doing a thing. So I was like, hey, bye.
Yeah. It was just proving to yourself you could do it.
Yeah. And the cool thing about this one, there was a lot of women coming from everywhere. So there's a lot of women from Canada. We had friends from California going. There was a lot of people from all over the country coming. So you could also see their stories online and be like, oh, where are you? Where are you? I made my friends share their locations with me to keep track of them. And I did the whole ride at night. One of my friends, Becca is she's all 100% all the time. 100%. She does everything, sometimes the hardest way. She left Los Angeles at 11 a.m. and rode through Vegas.
Oh my God.
And I'm just watching her. I'm like, can you not? Why are you doing this? Middle of the day. She texts me. She's like, you were right. I should have done this at night. I was like, yeah. But she was like on a plane earlier that day, flying in from somewhere because she does everything all the time. Yep. So we were meeting friends out there. A lot of people came out. It was a cool event, really small. I got to ride all around Sturgis without Sturgis people there.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Amazing.
Me and Stacey Wilt finally met. She lived in my hometown for a little bit, and people have always been like, you guys need to meet, but we just never had. And she's a lone wolf rider too, but we got along really well. We can ride well together. She like, well, do you want to go back or do you want to ride this other ride? I said, any option, because she was like, she's just trying to make me happy too. Like, what do you want to do? I was like, ride.
Yep.
I'm a road dog. Some of the girls wanted to go to Sturgis and walk around. I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I want to be on these roads. And she was like, okay. I was like, let's ride. She was like, do you want to do the wildlife loop or do you want to do this other route? And I was like, both. I want to do both. She was like, okay.
Sounds good.
So we did it. Yeah, it was fun. So leading up to that event, however, we'll start with the first misfortune. It's hot as shit in Wyoming. I am coming from Sheridan.
Was super hot going through there.
Yeah.
On the way to Sturgis. I was miserable.
Awful.
Yep.
And there's nothing to like distract yourself. You're
No, it's
like,
just
this
flat. The only thing that exists in the state of Wyoming is wind.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. I'm fine with the state. However, rough. I like that the speed limit's 80. I like that.
Yeah. That was about the
I'm leaving Sheridan. I went, I know this brand called Cult of Colt. They make really cool t-shirts and they're out of Sheridan. So I contacted them. I was like, hey, can I stop by and grab some shirts while I'm in town? Don't know where I was going to put those.
Yeah.
Whoops. But they let me come to their factory, like their printing factory. They hung out and it was cool. I was hotter and shit. I was dying. I had lost my water bottle and Tetons. Everything was iffy at best at this point. And I was like, you know what? I have enough gas to make it to, what's the next town?
Starts with an R.
Gillette.
Oh, Gillette. Never mind. Okay.
Roulette.
Roulette?
No.
Oh, never mind.
The R's silent. It's R-G.
There's an R town somewhere that I cut through in Wyoming. I don't remember what.
It's somewhere. I'm sure it's there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have enough gas to get to Gillette. I'm not fucking taking my helmet off again because I had to go to Walmart to get a water bottle and I just stomped around Walmart in my helmet. I'm like, I was dying. Yeah. I looked the color of this. It was awful.
I'm over this.
Awful. And so I'm riding, I'm cooking it down to Gillette. I'm like, this is fine. Well, I had plenty of gas. In theory, on the thing said I had gas. I had many miles more than I needed. Well, I'm going 95.
It's coming down quick.
I'm looking down. I'm like trying to just survive at this point. And the bike goes, oh, you have 0 miles left. 0. It went to 0. And I was like,
it went to 0. It didn't do low range. It went to 0. Wow.
Just 0. And I was like, oh, gas light comes on. I'm like, okay, cool. So while I'm riding, I'm like trying to gas.
Yeah.
I did tap on the desk that one time. 34 miles. 34 miles. None gas. And I was like, because on the map, I was like, that's not bad. And then I started zooming in and it just got further and further away from my dot. And there's no one out there to help you. There's no random gas stations. There's no towns.
There's nothing out there.
And I was like, okay, I guess I just fucking keep going straight. There was a fire on the side of the road that I had passed earlier. All the cops were there. And I was like, worst case scenario, I just call like the non-emergency number and ask for help.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll keep going. So I slowed down to 60 and I gained 13 miles of gas.
There you go.
It was like beep, 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 13. Yep. I was like, still not enough, but we'll figure it out.
This is going to get us closer to where I need to be.
So I'm going 60. The city that's 80.
People
I'm
are
like,
blowing by you.
Please help me.
Yep.
Someone help. And I was just like, okay. And then I look and it's like, it goes down to 8 miles. I have 14 miles left. And I finally I'm just like sweating it. But here's the deal. You can fucking worry about it or you can just do it. You're there now. What are you going to do?
Change. You're gonna
just like magically formulate some gas? Spit on it? I don't know. Like, what do you want me to do?
You're going to keep going straight.
What are you going to do? Get as close as you can get and then figure it out.
Yep.
That's all you can do. Might as well not be. I was stressed because it wasn't my bike, but also it lied to me. Also, I was hot. So many things. So I finally approached the town. I had been out of 0-0 at 60 miles an hour for a very long time. No other bikes were passing me. I couldn't ask for help. It was just cars probably telling me to go fuck myself. And I see the town. I'm like, okay, it's a right. You get off the exit and you go right. I'm going to run the light. I'm running it. And I just keep going. And the bike goes, slows down. And I was like, oh, no. Please don't do that. No, don't do that. And it's like, then it revs back up. And I'm like, okay, we're good. And I get off the exit and I just put it in neutral and rolled through the light at the bottom. I had to like shimmy between cars. I was like, you can be mad at me all you want. I don't give a fuck because we're about to make a bigger problem if I run out of gas.
Yeah.
I turn around. The gas station is up a hill, like really tall hill. And I was like, fuck if I, all right. And I just kept going. I gunned it and I made it to the gas pump. And I just am like,
what a relief.
A relief. I look over and there's these 4 bikers going, yeah, clapping for me.
Like they knew.
Yeah. They're screaming. Yeah, they were like, you did it. I was like, okay, oh God.
Like they heard the bike sputting out. Like, she's not gonna make it.
That was crazy. So I get gas and I'm hanging out with them for a little bit. I told them the story. They were from like Minnesota or Milwaukee, I think, and they were just on a dude trip. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to go. They were going to Harley. I needed some more time after that. I wasn't in a big rush. And so I was like, okay, see you guys later. Well, 3 of the guys' bikes start and one of them doesn't. But the lights also didn't come on. And we're like, wait a minute, this is weird. So really I get my tools out. We help him change the battery of the fob. He already had a battery. Whoever has a battery, I never have that. Who has just fucking store one? Where do you put that? And I am like, oh, that sucks. So they take all of his bike apart because he had a soft tail, something where his battery was under the seat, which is annoying. So they took everything off. And there's this little gray-haired man with a gray beard that walks by. He's like, nice bike. Bike won't start. And we're like, no, it won't start. And I'm letting them deal with it. Like, there's how many men does it take to figure that out? Some. Apparently, I'm good. I had the tools. They had the wherewithal. And I'm hot. And we're like, that's weird. Okay, cool. And he seemed like an old biker guy. So we were just like, yeah, won't start. So this guy kind of accepts his fate. And he's like, all right, well, will you guys ride over to Harley and get a trailer and come back? He's like, I've never had problems with this bike. I don't know what's wrong with it. And these other 3 guys get on their bikes. One of the guys' bikes almost doesn't start. Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? And this old man walks by again. He comes out of 7-Eleven. I'm sure he talked to the lady's ear off. He's like, just wait till I leave. And we were like, what? He's like, just wait till I leave. It'll start. And we were like, what in the oracle is happening here, wizard? You fucking wizard. But then we were kind of like, honestly, we're like, he's an old man. He's just, he's just being a rascal,
Yeah.
A little old man. And they're like, okay. So his friends leave. And they're headed to Harley, and it's just me. I think his name was Kurt. I should have probably gotten their information at all. And he is like, something's wrong with this truck. I got this truck from Canada, and it kills back it negates people's fobs on their bike. And we were still kind of like, no, well, how? A scrambler? Like, what? Is it a magical truck? I don't understand. Like, we just still thought he was pulling our legs. The guys leave. And I'm recording a video about how I just ran out of gas. And the truck drives away. And he goes over. And while I'm recording, he just starts his bike up. Starts off immediately. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? What the fuck just happened? It was insane. So he's calling everyone like, don't get the trailer. And I'm just like, is that guy a wizard? Like, what the hell is happening right now? It was insane. He's like, you can't believe it. It started. He was a really nice guy. He gave me this little coin. There's like I guess he's sober. He was saying how he's sober. He's like, I've been sober for this many years. He gave me a little coin to keep it in my riding jacket. He's like, I don't give these out often, even though he had a big case of them. I was like, sir, don't tell me that. That's a line. He was really nice. So his bike started up. Great.
There you go.
Cool. I finally get along my way. I had been not vandalizing, allegedly, all the signs with Club Style Oklahoma stickers on the way because that's my home.
Yep.
So I'm riding. It's hot as shit still, but there's brand new blacktop going into South Dakota. And my back end kind of gets fishy. And I'm like, you know what? It's hot as shit. Literally, they're construction workers around. Like, they're literally making this road right now. I'm sure that the asphalt's hot or something. It's fine. I'm like, I need to stop at the South Dakota sign. Mind you, I'm going 85, 90 plus. And I'm like, let me stop at the South Dakota sign. I stop, do my thing, not vandalize it. Mm-hmm. And I'm walking back, and my back tire's flat all the way. And I was like, that explains it. Cool.
Something's wrong here.
Yeah. And I start to roll it, and I can't find the hole. And then it gets harder to roll when the tire's flat. So now I can't roll it, and I have no idea what to do because I can't find the hole to plug because I have a plug kit. Mm-hmm. I just can't find the hole. But now there's also no air in it to come out of the hole to tell me where the fucking hole is. So this construction, one of the guys, I guess the foreman, comes over. He's like, I was just making sure you're not vandalizing the sign. I was like,
of course not.
So weird. Who would do that? And I was like, can you roll this bike forward and look for a hole? Or I figured maybe there'd be a screw in it or something. We couldn't find anything. And I'm like, okay, well, I have an air pump. I'll try to pump it up some.
See how far I can get, yeah.
And it kind of starts holding air. And I was like, okay, well, finally, and eventually I was just like, I'm just going to have to wait for those 4 guys to come by because I knew they were going to Sturgis. So I was like, they're going to ride by eventually. No one stopped. Even when I was there by myself with my bags off the bike, no one stopped.
Nobody stopped.
Yeah, I was just like,
okay, well, sucks
great.
to be me.
Yeah, fuck me, right? And then finally 2 bikes roll by. They're all both 2 up. And then one of them stops, and the wife starts walking back. And she was like, do you need help? I was like, I could use some help. Yeah, probably. She was like, good, my husband's a mechanic.
Perfect.
So he is a bike pastor from Monterey.
Okay.
And he's a mechanic. And he fucking sent it down the freeway. He was like, that's actually the fastest I've gotten a ride because she wasn't on the back. So I'm very excited that happened. And he plugged my entire tire. We found the hole. It was holding air because the hole was on the bottom at the time. Yeah, it was a huge hole. And then he was like, I didn't put the glue in, so let's ride to this rest stop and I'll plug it again. And, they're nice. She's giving me water. Yeah. She's like, do you have water? I had like a hot half bottle of water.
That same thing happened to me out in South Dakota. I was stuck in there was some construction going on. And there was like an hour wait. And some guy's just like, hey man, do you need water? You're not. Like, we're all sitting in AC. I was like, please.
Please. Yeah. Are you a mirage?
Yeah, please help me.
And so, he was like, no, we're going to ride to your event with you. And I was like, you don't have to do that. Like, that seems a lot.
Yeah.
He was like, no, we're going to. So they rode me all the way to the event. And they're like, you safe? And I'm like, yeah, we're good. Well, the great news is that's Harley Davidson's bike. And you know who was putting on this event? Harley fucking Davidson.
Perfect.
I said, hey, there's a flat tire. Can you guys fix it? And it was a logistical rough part. It was rough just because they had to figure stuff out. Then I didn't have a bike to ride around. So we got it all figured out. I saw the homies. One girl posted later. She's like, she was posting things she noticed about the women as they showed up. And she was like, and then Jessica came in like a bat out of hell after having a flat tire. I was like, I probably did actually. And I know a lot of people. I don't know a lot of people. We're just hanging out. And then the girls, Maggie's there, and they're like, can you give Jessica a Pan Am tomorrow so she can ride in the Pan Am crew? Yeah. And they had to figure that out. That was a thing. And finally, they're like, yeah, we'll give you a Pan Am so you can ride with the girls tomorrow and do video and content and stuff with them. So you all have Pan Ams. I was like, cool. So it worked out fine. I was on the Pan Am the next day after they so graciously lent it to me. And the girls were washing their personal Pan Ams. And so it was hot in Sturgis. I was right by the Sturgis sign at the coffee place. Mm-hmm. It's that car wash across the street.
Corner. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I was like, I was zooming around just to get wind in my pits. Yeah. I was like, it's hot.
I'm hurting.
Well, finally, I was like, you know what? I'll just go sit in the stall next to them and just, at least it's shaded. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm pulling into the stall. I put my foot down on the metal grate and I am now pinned between the bike and the wall. The fairing has busted off It's gone. And I'm screaming for the girls, and they can't hear me
because the pressure washer.
Because the pressure washer, and I finally can like crawl out, and I'm like, the bike's fucked. I had already also dropped her personal bike earlier that day. It was a rough time. It was a rough time. So now it's broken, and now they graciously lent this to me, and now it's broken, and I had to go tell the guy that it was broken.
Hey, sorry, I broke your bike.
Yeah, wasn't good. I had to like fill out Harley Davidson paperwork, and I was like, it's not me. They're like, we fixed your bike for you though, and I was like, thanks so much.
I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah. Yeah. So we went around, and everything was pretty normal. Like, just saw homies. You know, my friend Becca finally made it.
Mm-hmm.
After. Man, Becca is crazy. She goes to so many events, but like, I'll tell our El Diablo story. Or Becca is a lot, right? She's high energy, and I love Becca, but she sometimes is a lot of energy for me, and I have to go, I'm gonna walk away right now, because she's just always on, always 100, and sometimes I'm overstimulated, and I have to like homer back into a bush for a minute. So Becca's amazing. Well. Not fun. We'll get there when we get there. Okay. I'll tell you Becca's story in a minute. So we go to the event. It's great. I didn't want to go back the same way because I had already ridden that 1 jillion times this year. So I go through Colorado. I'm going to Walden, Colorado, which is the moose capital of the world. Mm-hmm. Well, I have Becca's location, and I know she lives down in San Diego. She's mostly going the same way as me. Mm-hmm. And she was down for adventure. She was down for anything. Honestly, you could be like, do you want to go jump off this cliff? She's like, yes, I did it last week, but we can do it again. You're like, what 100%. The fuck, dude? And
just always down to be
always
rowdy.
Down. Yeah.
Rowdy.
Yeah. And I saw her location, and it was like nighttime. And I was like, hey, and I somehow got a Airbnb or a hotel with like 3 beds in it somehow. I was like, hey, if you want to split this hotel with me, you can come stay with me. And she was like, okay, cool. And she was like, I'll be there in a minute. I got tricked into eating at Denny's, and I was like, what the fuck does that even mean, man? It's a ghost. It was a ghost. Yeah, side quests. It was a ghost kitchen situation, and she gets everywhere late. I was like, I said, I put a towel out for you. Just come in and crash out, take a shower if you need. Not a big deal. So she come in. I was passed out. She comes in and showers and goes to bed. Well, she got there late. Mm-hmm. So in the morning, I'm like, creeping around.
You're trying to be quiet, not wake her up.
Packing my shit, not to wake her up. This woman opens her eyes and goes, I'm awake. You can talk to me. Hey, I think I saw a moose last night. Like, full conversation immediately. Like, no.
You're like, I'm not like that.
I was like, I was trying not to wake you up. She was like, no, I'm awake. And I remember she had her shirt on, but underwear with skeleton handprints on the butt. I was just like, what is happening? And just full talking, full sentences.
Right away.
Coherent. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I don't know if I want to stay here or ride, or she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do. And she's like, oh, I need to go to my bike. And I'm loading up my bike. And there's a little old man, ancient old man sitting nearby. She's like, oh, I found my shirt. She just takes her top off. And then I was like, hey, Becca, there's other people around. Yeah. And we're in a very small town. Yeah. Just so you know. Just so you know. She was like, I thought I saw a deer, but I think it was a moose. I was like, it was a moose, man. And she's like, oh, sorry. And she puts the other shirt on real quick. And I was like, okay. And so we decided she loves a hot spring. Loves a hot spring. And she was going to go to Strawberry Springs. And I was like, well, I'm going to go through Steamboat Springs and then go south through Rifle. I've heard it's a really pretty ride. She was like, oh, I'll go a little bit of that with you. So I don't think me and Becca have ever gotten a chance to ride together alone like that. And we had our helmets linked up, and it was funny. She was like, hey, I looked up ziplining. Do you want to go ziplining? And I almost did it. I was almost like,
ziplining?
You know what? That sounds terrifying. Never done it. And she was like, we just kind of lost it. Then there was signs on the way for this really cool Western store. Well, it looked really cool. The signs were cool. And I kept going, pointing at him. I was like, I want to go there. And she was like, okay. So we get into this town, and there's a hotel that has like a pink bunny neon sign. She's like, I want to take a picture by that. And I was like, yeah, we can come back after. And so we get to the place, and it's like a Western store in the like historic downtown. It actually was like a shittier boot barn. I'm going to be so real with you. It wasn't great. I expected like some old antique like cool place. Anyway, there was a cool shirt there. But so we get off our bikes and we're walking around the store, and Becca talks all the time. So there was a point, and I always feel bad for this. I was like kind of in my own world, like doing my own thing, like looking around. She was looking for a belt, and she would run up to me and be like, do you like this one or this one? And I'm like, I don't know. Man, that one's brown, that one's black. Which one do you want? Like, I don't know. And then she'd have more belts somehow and come back, do you like this one or this one? I'm like, I don't know. And then at one point I couldn't hear her. And I was like, Becca?
You're like, she's being quiet. Something's wrong. I
can't hear you. Where are you? She's like, I'm over here. And I was like, oh, thank God. So we're leaving. And she's like, yeah, I think I'm going to go get gas and then go to the hot spring. She's like, do you want to come with me? I was like, no, I kind of got places to be. I got a hotel booked in Utah. Mm-hmm. I got to get there. And she's like, okay, no worries. And so we went to the gas station and got gas. And the gas station was a Sinclair, which is my thing. Mm-hmm. But it had a really cool sign on it. So I took a picture. She was doing a 1K in a day. She loved a 1K in a day.
Yes.
For me, if I ever do one, I'll do one. I did it. Congrats.
Nope,
she did multiples. Mm-hmm. So I took her picture to start her 1K in a day that day. And, sorry. And, we're fine. I'm fine. So I kept on with my day, and I still have Becca's location, of course. And she goes to the hot springs. I go along with my day. I'm coming out of Rifle. I get on the main freeway there, which is like the 70, I think. Mm-hmm. Did I make that up? Don't know. And I'm get to a gas station, and I'm like, I need gas. Cool. Well, I am trying to lock the bike. Yeah, where are the keys, my dude? Where are the fucking keys? Where are the keys? I had put an AirTag on them because it's a thing. Yeah. And I look at the AirTag. It was 65 miles behind me in the middle of the freeway. Oh, the keys had fallen off of me somehow, and we're in the middle of the road. I can't start this bike to go get them. Also, I was not in the slow lane. They're probably smashed already. And it's a barrel key. It's useless. Yeah. So for the second time, I have to call Harley Davidson, Alan, who's very hard to crack in the first place. I thought he hated me. I'm like, hey, I lost the keys now. The tire's fixed. Thanks so much. The keys are gone, though. And he just starts laughing at me. And I was like, this is appropriate. I said, but I'm having so much fun. Thanks so much for letting me have this mic. It's so great. I love it. So cool. And he's like, all right, this is the code. He tells me the code. I was like, oh, I forgot there was a code. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, that's fine. I tell the internet about my tumultuous times. Moving on. I'm running into a storm. And I'm like, okay, no big deal. It's cool. I can start this bike. It's good. I pull over to get my rain gear out. Do you know what's locked? All the bags. All the bags are locked. You know what? I don't have the keys for them. I had one bag open. It had my purse in it, luckily. But it also had just random other, like my dirty socks and underwear also. And I was like, great. This is the bag that's open. Stupendous. Yeah. And this town I was going to stop in was dicey as fuck.
What was the town?
Green Valley, I think, okay. Utah. It just was a little dicey. And I was like, I don't want to stay at a hotel here. And so I asked the clerk for a trash bag, and I covered my camping bag because you don't want your shit to get wet. Mm-hmm. And no, was this camping? What trip was this? I covered whatever bag was behind me. And I'm just like, there's a huge storm coming on the radar. And it looked like it was literally just going to be, I was just going to hit it. No matter, you know how they move literally along the freeway and you're like, there's no way to escape this.
I'm not avoiding this. This is going to happen.
So I just fucking sucked it up. Mm-hmm. Said, we're getting wet. Okay, here we go. And I just, in my normal clothes, just fucking gunned down. I was like,
here we go.
Here we go. We're doing it. I skittered along on the edge of that fucking storm the entire time. Yeah. It was a roller coaster though, because the road would turn me into the dark part and I'd be like, oh fuck. Yeah. Oh shit. And then it'd be like, oh,
we're gonna get out of here.
Oh, what the hell? This is great. So I honestly was on the edge of it and I was like, okay, well that's a blessing in disguise, kind of, not really. And each time something shit happened, I just get, it can't get worse. It can't get worse. That was my motto. It can't get worse. Nothing worse can happen. This sucks, right? This is awful. So I get to my hotel. I see Becca's kind of behind me. And I'm like, hey, Becca, like if you need another place to stay, she loves a camp. and she loves doing her thing. So, but I knew she was on one case. She was supposed to be in Vegas that night. But I was like, you know what? If you get tired and need somewhere to stay, that woman did not get tired. But hypothetically, I'm here. You're literally going to pass me. Like, come stay with me. She didn't respond. And I was like, you know what? She's riding. She's doing her thing. And so I spend the night in Utah. I wake up and have a normal morning. And I check Becca's location. She's on the freeway still. And I was like, damn, she should be in Vegas by now, like for sure. But maybe she just like pulled over and napped or something. Like her dot's on the freeway. So I was like, oh, well, maybe she probably slept or something halfway through and it's not a big deal. And I get to another gas stop and Sue calls me. Sue is who Becca was supposed to stay with that night and who I was staying with the next night. Mm-hmm. She's like, hey, have you heard from Becca today? I was like, no, but like that's not weird for us. Like we don't check in. I see her location, but I don't check in. And I was like, it looks like she's at a tire shop in Mesquite, Nevada. I was like, maybe she got a flat tire and she's like dealing with that and like figuring that out. And I know that I don't want 100 fucking calls when I'm trying to figure something out, you know? Right. And so I was like, that's okay, no big deal. I just figured she'd start moving once I started moving. Like I didn't think I was gonna pass her or anything. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll like ask for help. And I messaged her. I said, hey, are you okay? She didn't write back. And I was like, okay, weird, but not weird. Cause like we weren't that close to where like I wasn't the first priority, you know, like right. We were close, but not, I don't know. Road homies are road homies. No, you're close, but not, but we are, but we're not.
I get it.
If that makes sense.
It's we hung out a lot. Relationship.
Yeah. I mean, we saw each other a lot, but we never had hung out together. Anyway, we're always around each other and, she's everywhere. So you can't not be around her.
100%.
And so I'm going down and I get into the border of where there's a little bit of Arizona. It's Utah, a little bit of Arizona, then Nevada. And it says, there's signs everywhere. It says incident and traffic starts. Incident ahead. And I'm like, fuck, dude. They were taking everyone off the freeway. And I was like, is the highway under construction? Like, that's weird that they're taking everyone off. Usually they just close a lane down, something like that. And they take me off the freeway. It is a 10-mile canyon detour. It was 107. Mm-hmm. And I start splitting. I was like, I can't do it. It is a 10-pound bike. You just want me to walk my little fat legs along 10 miles with this bike at 107? No. People are honking at me. People are pissed. There's other bikers like waiting. There weren't a lot of cars coming towards me, so I'm splitting. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I get to the front-ish of where we get back on the freeway, and I look over, and there's an Amazon truck that's like fucking demolished. And there's crews everywhere. This is probably 10:30 in the morning. Earlier than that, actually. There's crews everywhere. There's like a lot of people. And I was like, there was also a car hauler, but there was like Teslas on the ground everywhere. And I was like, what the fuck happened there? Yeah. And I looked over and there's a Mesquite cop next to me. So I'm in Mesquite now. And he goes, whoop, 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 because he's pissed. I'm riding on the wrong side of the road. But I was like, do you want to resuscitate me when I die of heat stroke or not? Like, what's going on? So I kind of started running away from him. I was like, hide in this fucking boat. I was like, he'll never find me now. And I'm like, oh, I'm in Mesquite. And I look and I get my phone goes to voicemail pretty much immediately when I'm hooked up to the bike.
You have like an automatic message too.
It's stupid, but it's good. And Sue called me and left the message, says, hey, you need to call me back. And I was like, okay, cool. So I just call her my helmet. Hey, what's up? I'm now going, there's no cops because all the cops are back there occupied. I'm cooking. And she's like, I just need to talk to you. I was like, okay. And it's windy and I can't really hear. She's like, it's Becca. And I was about to pass out myself. I was not in a good spot. I was hot. I get really sensitive to heat stroke, and it was not fun. She said, it's Becca. She's been in an accident. And she was like, she's in her own state, and I'm now going 100 down the freeway. There's no shade. There's nowhere to pull over. And even if there is there going to be phone service there? And I said, okay, I got to call you back when I get to the gas station. And so I get to the gas station, and by that time I'm like numb because I'm trying to first not have heat stroke. And I get into the gas station and I call her back and she says, it's Becca. She's in the hospital. She got hit that night. So the night I asked her to stay with me in Utah on her 1K, she had gotten hit on the border, which I'm telling you this, but you know this. I guess she had posted at like 2:36 in the morning or 12:36.
It was like 2:36 or 2:39.
Yeah, 2:36 in the morning. She was doing like her little state signpost. Woohoo!
She had done it the whole trip.
It's her thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess so. It's right after the Virgin River Gorge, where like it's real twisty and beautiful. And she, I guess 6 minutes later, was gone. I mean, she was there, but not really. Yeah. And so I'm sitting in this gas station casino, sweating. I don't know who to call. I call Melissa out of Palm Springs because she had just bought her a new sleeping bag, even though it was shredded. Melissa, you should know this. When in Colorado, I was like, dude, what happened to your sleeping bag? Is that not the one Melissa just bought you? She was like, I don't want to talk about it. It had road rash. She'd absolutely dropped that one too. 100%. She had lost her jacket that trip.
I remember that. It was
her neon yellow jacket.
Neon yellow jacket.
Yeah. And she's so silly. She went back to look for her jacket because it bothered her, and she found an orange vest, and she thought it was, or a yellow vest. She thought it was hers. She picks it up, carries it with her, and then realizes there's blood on it that's not hers. And she's like, "This is not my vest." Just throws it.
Oh my God.
But she like picks it up and walks with it for a while. And so I'm sitting in this casino. I'm sitting in this specific spot, like in the air conditioning. And this man walks up to me in the state I'm in and goes, "Hey, can I use that machine?" And I went, "The machine I'm sitting at when there's..." And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, all right, dude. And Sue was like, "Do you want to leave your bike there and I'll come get you and we can go to the hospital?" And I was hot. Mm-hmm. I had an appointment with Eagle Rider to get my bike picked, my bike locks picked. I don't want to see... I know that sounds silly. I don't regret it, though. I didn't want to see her like that. Right. Sue pretty much said she's brain dead at that point. So Sue was like, "Just go to my house. It's open. We'll figure it out." And so Sue went to the hospital to be with her. And I guess somebody had hit her from behind, perhaps. We still don't know a lot of the details. I went home and went a little crazy and went full FBI style. I found a Facebook group about Mesquite, Nevada. I found people in Mesquite, Nevada. Mm-hmm. They were talking about the crash. So Becca's accident that night caused another accident behind her. Did you know this?
I did not know this.
Really?
No.
So Becca's accident, because when Sue first called me, she's like, "Becca's been in an accident." And I was like, "Was it with an Amazon truck? Cool. Here I am."
Yeah.
Rad. Great. And she was like, "I don't think so." So Becca's accident caused a slowdown that night. And behind her, traffic started slowing down. Well, that Amazon truck didn't slow down. He went headfirst into a car hauler, which decapitated that driver. And then that car hauler went into a sheep trailer. So that's the accident I rode by.
That's wow.
Yeah. And that's the only news you can find about it. It just says a previous accident caused an accident for an Amazon driver to lose his life. But all the government people that have to come out for like commercial, for agriculture, it was still there at 10 a.m. Mm-hmm. But I had gotten on the freeway pretty much right where Becca was hit. Yeah, so I pretty much rode through it, the aftermath of that. That's why I was off the freeway. Yeah. So when Becca's dot showed up, her phone actually was alive until a couple weeks ago. Her location finally turned off. Her phone was charging on her bike still somehow, and none of us knew what happened. We couldn't figure out if she was standing at the sign still and someone hit her physically. We couldn't figure out if it was on her bike. We couldn't figure out anything.
Yeah. There was, so just from my perspective,
mm-hmm.
like it was, I heard about it. A mutual friend of ours kind of made a post and was saying like a very good friend of ours is fighting for their life right now. Mm-hmm. And I remember being like, there's so many people, you know what I mean? Like there's just so many people in the world. It's not somebody I know. Yeah. Like the brain's like defense mechanism for this. Like, it's not somebody I know. And then I talked to another mutual friend, and I was like, hey, who got hurt? And I didn't, I didn't know. I was just like, who got hurt? And they were like, it's Becca. And it probably took me like 5 seconds to realize, like, my friend Becca, like, stationed at Naval Air Station Lemoore, Becca, like, fuck. I don't, it's weird how your brain, I don't know if it's like trying to protect you from that, but like I didn't even register at first, and I did the same thing with the FBI part of me, you know what I mean? Cause like I'd been messaging her on that trip, like, telling her she was basically crazy because she's Becca's nuts. But, I went to bed super late that night. I don't remember why, but I was
the night she got hit, or the night
she got hit.
Yeah. You were just awake.
I was just awake.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at her story and being like, and I was following along on the trip.
Yeah.
Because she was posting at every state sign.
Yeah.
There's like, the Arizona state sign was actually really close to the Nevada state sign.
It's like,
and like,
because it's so little.
It's so
just
little,
sliver.
but she stopped at both.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing her coming into the Nevada state sign and like, oh, damn, she's getting after it, dude. Like, she's going to crush this 1K because this is what she does.
Yeah.
And then the next day, finding out what had happened, and I went back and I don't know why, but I was like, I have to figure out what happened.
Yeah.
And I was taking screenshots and like the time, and then trying to track where she was at what time, and the time zones are changing, and I'm like trying to piece it all together.
Yeah, because the time zone was different.
Yeah.
Because as soon as she hit the border, it moved an hour back, so it didn't make sense. Posting.
Exactly. So it was super confusing at first, and she was putting timestamps on everything.
Yeah. Yep. So I went and found a Facebook group. A lot of people were talking about the second wreck in this Facebook group. There was one woman that said, what about the first one? What about the first one? And everyone was like, what do you mean there wasn't a first one? She was like, I was there. There was a first one. There's a motorcycle. And I wrote her. I messaged her on Facebook. I said, I know this is psycho.
Wild, yeah.
But unfortunately, that was my friend. No one will tell us what happened. We don't comprehend what's going on. We don't understand if her bike was hit. Did you see anything? Like, was her bike down? Was she, like, what happened? Was there another car there? Like, was it a semi? Like, what is happening? And she said, and this is not official because it's just word of mouth. She was driving by with her daughters at the time that Metaflight was landing for Becca. And unfortunately, she said that she saw someone in handcuffs. There was a car there that had a destroyed front end. But we haven't heard anything about that since.
Right.
But when Sue said that she was on life support and brain dead, and everyone was like, oh, I hope she pulls through. I was like,
fuck. Yeah.
Guys, she's not pulling through. There's no coming out of this.
Yeah.
I guess the car hit her so hard her helmet flew off her head. Pretty much broke her pelvis, broke everything. I know it was quick from what I heard. I'll save the gory details. Gorier details. She said that this woman said she saw the cops in the median looking for her helmet. Yeah. So.
That road sign, I've driven past it twice now since then.
I've avoided it. I'll add 2 days to my trip.
So coming back from Sturgis, I was doing I don't know if I've talked about this part on the podcast, but I was trying to do a 1K in a day. And I made it through Wyoming, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I hate this. This is miserable. I don't know how people do this. I got into Utah, and I was like, no, this is doable. Like, I'm having fun. Yeah. And I started looking at where this was going to drop me off, and it was just past Mesquite, and it freaked me out.
Yeah.
Like 100%. I don't think I can do this. I don't think I want to do this. And I was like, no, you should definitely do this. Yeah. Like, I should 100% do this.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting caught in a hailstorm. I didn't make it. I ended up pulling over, but the next day I made it to that road sign. I just hung out there for like 30 minutes. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, that girl was literally like the best of us, though. I mean, 100%. Like, the most genuine person
She knew everyone.
Everyone.
She knew there were people that I had met at Born Free at her memorial that didn't even know she rode because he was involved with the labor board or something.
Like,
she was everywhere.
Everywhere. It was, I know I've told this story partially on the podcast, but my good friend Larry Disney and his wife Heather, they ride everywhere. Yeah. They ride everywhere. We were at Four Corners last year and we're standing at like the after party thing. And Becca comes around the corner. She's like, "You guys want to do shots?" And I'm like, "Oh, Becca, this is Larry." She's like, "Yeah, we met." And I'm like, "Where?"
She's like, "Moving on."
Yeah, they like Larry lives in Ridgecrest. How do you know Larry? And Larry's like, "Oh, we met on the way here at the Welcome to Colorado sign." And I'm like, "What?" Like she knew everybody, dude. Like it was. I really got to know. Like I'd met her a handful of times, and then we had like a really great conversation at Four Corners last year because just like Instagram, she was like, "You're stationed in Lemoore." She was like, "You make Lemoore look fun." I had a terrible time when I was there. And I was like, "You were in the Navy?" She was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
She's an airplane mechanic.
Yeah, she was an AT, I believe. Like super nerd. Yeah. But yeah, the last time I hung out with her, I was at Josie's Hideout and she was walking outside. She was like, "We're going to, I think it's Red, White, and Bruised, the bar in Ramona." Mm-hmm. She was like, "You want to go?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go." I went, hung out, drank some beers, had like a great time, played this like little wall game, had fun, like just typical. She was just telling like these wild ass stories. And then I believe Born Free was shortly after that. And I remember teasing her at Born Free because it was the pre-party at Cook's Corner. Yeah. And she shows up by herself and she's having like all these like shift linkage issues. And I'm like, "Well, welcome to the crew." Like that's why we got our name, you know? And she's running around, she's taking selfies with everybody. And she was only there for like 40 minutes. And I was like, "Did you take enough pictures back?" And she's like, "Let's get one real quick," and snapped a picture. Mm-hmm. And I am so thankful for that picture. Yeah. You know, like
we took one at a Sinclair station the day we left together. And
I remember seeing that.
No, it's on her phone. Yeah. I'll never see it. I'll never see it.
I thought I saw that. Did she put it on a story?
No.
Really? Mm-mm. I thought I saw a picture of you at a Sinclair on that trip.
But it was us both.
Okay.
I see. Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, she made a huge impact.
Yeah.
In everyone's 100%. Life. And I wish there was a way to convey to people everyone you come in contact with affects people. You know, affects you. And I wish there was a way you could tell people before they die what they mean. There's just no way to fathom it. They would never understand.
Yeah.
People that you just say hi to, or people that you just smile at, or people you're like, "Hey, I like that shirt." But Becca knew so many people, and she made such a ripple in the community. Mm-hmm. And you know, I'll be the first to admit it was a lot riding home that day.
Yeah.
We weren't super, super close, but that morning we talked about our boy troubles, which were plentiful, unfortunately. And we were just friends. We got along, but she had closer friends, and I felt bad that I'm the one who got to spend the last day with her. I feel bad that, you know, our first ride together, just her and I, was our last ride together, just her and I. And everyone's saying you're sorry, but you're like, she wouldn't want us to be sorry.
No, that they did I don't know if it was called like a memorial or whatever it was at Josie's that you and I chopped it up at. And to see the amount of people there and the amount of different kind of walks of life that were there, and everybody just like, I mean, granted, I never wanted to be at that event.
No.
Never wanted that.
Everyone was like, "Good to see you." I was like, I hate everything.
I didn't want to be
respectfully,
here right now.
Not good to see you.
I don't. But you could just see the impact that she had on people at that event. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like seeing the different walks of life come in there, and the people that came in there, and then they were playing like a slideshow over, and it was like she knew all these people.
Yeah, and she knew more.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's crazy.
There's man.
It's unfortunately part of this life.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what the last thing you say to someone's going to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's an excuse to treat shitty people good. You know, like if they're shitbags, they're shitbags. Yeah. But like, just remember that. I tell all my homies that I love them And if I have a boyfriend or something, I'm like, just so you know, I tell all my dudes I love them because we ride gnarly
motorcycles, yeah,
and we don't ride always the safest.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked about Matt in the past, and you never know.
Yeah.
But I wish there was a way. I just think about that. Just you can't. Whatever hot springs in the sky she's in, I hope she saw like what impact she made.
100%.
You know.
She was just such a beautiful person, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll save the El Diablo story for another time.
Yeah.
But she just was always the same.
Mm-hmm.
She was just always like
she was always
sunshine.
on.
Yeah. And always in a good mood. Like I never saw her anything other than like chipper and funny.
Yeah.
And super goofy.
Always on. Like electric all the time. So, yeah. So though that we finally got through the rough one, we did pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended that trip I rode home the last day and everyone was, I had to tell all our friends, unfortunately, that we had just been at that event with. So I called the girls that were, there, let them know. Shitty. But you know what? If it has to come from me, instead of seeing it online, that's how I found out Matt died. I saw it online. Yeah. On an Instagram. And it was his body. I saw, it wasn't like a sweet memorial post. It was the wreck. So Becca was amazing. Yeah. And there's more people with absolutely different experiences. She had 2 kitties that now live with our friends. And she's great. If I could just do a little bit of what Becca does every day. Yeah. I'll never have that energy.
10% of the impact that girl had on everybody around her, dude.
Yeah.
Like
she was always up for it. Yeah. When zip lining, she was a diver, wasn't she?
She did all kinds
She
of
did
stuff.
everything.
She did everything.
I should have gone and zip lining with
running,
her. Yeah. I should have gone zip lining with her that day, but
and now you gotta go zip lining.
God, no.
Not gonna do it now.
She'll respect that.
Yeah.
She'll be like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So everyone has an impact on everyone. And this community is very special. And there are some dramas. We all have our...
None of it matters, though.
Ins and outs.
Yeah. There's a little petty shit. None of that matters. Like,
no.
We're all here riding motorcycles.
Everyone has a family to go home to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm someone's daughter. I'm someone's granddaughter. We're all someone's something.
Yeah.
So it's rough. It's a rough part of this, but it helps you appreciate the people who are here more. And also, she would never want us to stop riding.
No.
The day they had her actual funeral thing, and like released her ashes into the ocean, I was riding. I couldn't make it. Yeah. I was on the bike coming home from my other trip. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that's a good lesson to learn. I think everyone has that situation. I mean, just how it goes. But that's what we didn't want to get to last time.
Yeah.
But that was a big one. So those are my last 2 trips. Yeah. One very terrible one. And that's the day I retired. Can't get worse. Yeah. Because every fucking mile got worse.
Yeah.
Every mile got worse. I was like, can't get worse than I lost the keys. Can't get worse than this.
I'm in the rain. Can't get worse than this.
Got flat tire. Can't get worse than this. Yeah. Running out of gas. It can, my dude. It can.
Yeah.
So yeah, just be careful with one another.
For sure. Yeah, we're gonna ride. Yeah.
That's a rough one. Hey, so thanks so much.
Well,
what a cheery.
This is just under 2 hours though.
Sorry, I know. I fucked up. I talked too long again.
Do you want me to make fun of Lenny real quick and tell you this funny story?
Yeah, what's going on with Lenny?
So
I have to tell you that severed head I found on the highway.
Part 3.
Oh damn. That's a long one. Okay.
So the other day, Lenny and I are coming back from Josie's, right? Yeah. And that dude is a BRL racer. Yeah. So we're ripping, we're having a good time. And I mean, we are really, really, really ripping. Yeah. And there was a part when I was running with you and there's like this S turn that's like, it's my best turn in the world. Yeah. Like I can hit that turn faster than anything. Yeah. And that was kind of where I pulled away from you and you were like yelling. Just, that was where all the fake drama started. And I was like, I'm going to take this turn at like 95. Well, I get to Lenny, he's in front of me and I am fastest I've ever been through that turn. And he is just walking away from me. And in my head, I'm yelling. I'm like, how is he this fast? Like, this doesn't even make sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to say a number, but really fast.
Allegedly.
And then we get to that roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulls in the roundabout. And I'm like, oh, maybe he wants to, like, sometimes he'll like give me pointers, like as we're riding. I'm like, maybe he wants to talk about something. And he jumps up, he doesn't take his helmet off, he flips his visor open. He's like, I'm about to piss myself. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I take my helmet off, he runs to the back. And as he's running, there's this old white guy. And he's like, hey, don't park there. Somebody got arrested there last week for parking there. And I literally heard Lenny go, yeah, appreciate it, sir. I'll just be there in a second, you know. And he like runs off. And I hear the guy like keep chirping, and I've got my helmet off at this point. And I'm like trying to come off of this kind of high
glory
rush.
moment. You were like,
I was like still kind of pinging, and I'm just like, whoa, take this in. And I hear the guy chirping at Lenny and chirping and chirping and chirping and chirping. And you know, Lenny's like literally the nicest person.
Yeah, he's incredibly respectful too.
Yeah. And then I just hear Lenny explode. And he's like, hey, who the fuck are you talking to? And I'm like,
no.
Whoa, snap out of it, snap out of it. Like, what's going on? I like come around the corner, and he's still got his helmet off. He's trying to get his helmet off, and he's pointing and screaming at this dude. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
What?
He's not a little guy. He's not tall.
No.
But Lenny's very strong.
He's solid.
He's very solid.
Solid man.
Yeah. So I grab him.
Sometimes I hug him. I'm like, what?
Yeah, he's like touching this table.
Yeah,
dude. It's like
really
the
is
weirdest shit.
like-
It's like grabbing a piece of wood. But so I grab him, and I'm like, no. Like, do not go.
Yeah.
Go to like get the fuck out of here. Like, go pee, go. And he's like,
where was this guy parked to yell at you to not park there?
he was parked in the parking lot, which we were not.
Okay.
We were parked wrong, but it didn't matter. This guy didn't fucking work there. Fuck him. So I convinced Lenny, like, don't kill this guy. Go pee. And I turn around, and there's this old Mexican gentleman, and he is hammered drunk, and he grabs my shoulders. He's like this tiny little dude. Grabs my shoulders.
This is a third guy?
Yeah, this is another random dude.
Secret third guy.
I'm like, where the fuck did this guy come from? And he's like, Tranquila. Tranquila. To me.
You're like, I am
like,
Tranquila.
I don't speak Spanish, but I'm like, I'm calm, bro. Like, I'm calm. I'm literally telling him, like, stop touching me. I'm calm. And he's like, Tranquila. Tranquila. And then the dude that was yelling.
Tequila.
So that's where it gets good. So he keeps telling me Tranquila. Well, the guy that yelled at Lenny is standing in his truck now, and he's like, what the fuck's that Mexican keep talking about tequila for? And I am not kidding, dude. I just busted out laughing. I was like, this is not real. Like, where am I right now? Like, what is going on?
First off, you see him too? Where did he come from?
Where did he come from? Like, are you guys friends?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, it was wild. So I go back. I'm like, dude, I have to pee now. So I go back, and I'm like, I'm going to be able to talk. I got to like keep Lenny near me real quick so he doesn't go out here and fight this guy. I go in there.
Fight?
So we would have. But so I'm thinking like there's going to be another stall. I'm going to be able to like keep him in here and kind of side quest him until I get out here.
Yeah.
Sure enough, there's only one urinal. I'm not going to make it. I'm like, brother, I need 30 seconds of you just like standing outside the door and not going out there and not getting in a fight. And he's like, no, I'm good, man. Just completely fine. I'm like, I don't believe
He's
you.
lying straight to your face.
But he was cool. And then we hopped on the bikes. It was just the weirdest. All of that entire interaction was probably 25 seconds. And it was so weird. Like, I have no idea where that one dude came from. I don't know why I understood what he was saying. The other guy thought he was talking about tequila. Tranquila's pretty easy, like tranquil. Yeah, like that's where I went. Yeah, I was like, all right, this is an easy one. But,
well, that's fucking
Lenny.
weird.
Yeah, it was super weird. My story's a lot shorter. No.
Oh, sorry, I'm a yapper.
No, it's all good, bro. Then
I figured you could fill this in wherever. I don't know when you're gonna play this, but just fill it in whenever you need time.
Pick it up with Doug. It's up on the schedule. We got.
Well, no, like now. I mean, that's why we did it, so you could have filler.
No, we run a hard, tight ship around his joint now. I don't know if you know this. This is a professional organization.
Oh, okay.
You see all these guys in here?
Yeah. So, we got lots. I got to tell you about the head.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you about sleeping at a stranger's house last time?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Part 3's coming
She
soon.
found me on the side of the road.
There we go.
It's rough.
Thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, of course.
Later.